3 years in a row, like every time. Oh, Sword 2 is like right around the corner. Like I have it absolutely like 100%. Like next month, by the end of the year, blah 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 blah. Sword 2 is gonna come, and like literally never comes. And now
did the article from Richard mention which year it was? I know he said March and April 1st, but did it say 2023? Did it say 2023? I'm just checking here, guys. You know, you never know.
Finally, I found what I was looking for. Now that my search is over, it's gonna be a tough choice. But fortunately, no need to choose. When you can just have them all. Buy and sell skins on BitSkins.com.
Your bet, your game.
Here's a good vibe, train, 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 train. Here's a good vibe, train, 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 train. Here's a good vibe, train, 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 train. Good vibe, train, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Counter-Strike fans across the globe, welcome to HLTV Confirmed. My name is Chad, not SPUNJ Birchall, and I'm here to be amazing and, I don't know, have a hair transplant or whatever the fuck you're doing.
Whoa! You can go for it if you want.
Now we're going to be demonetized on YouTube. Dimitri is pulling his hair that he also need a hair transplant for now. Oh, thanks to me. Quick shout out to the sponsors, BitSkins, SteelSeries, and N1Bet. SteelSeries proudly presenting us with these amazing headsets that are wireless, which is amazing in itself. We don't need to talk about that much. Actually, just swap the batteries, swappable batteries, insane scenes. As you can notice, Chad is not here with us right now, but he should be joining us soon, finishing up some media day obligations. You know where he's at all the time. But we have Striker and we have Bleh here. Bleh, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. You know, I haven't really been having much sleep, obviously. Waking up at 4 a.m., just excited for the new update for the past 3 days. So I'm wide awake. It's 12:30 a.m. right now, but I'm so hyped. Also, it could be the 4 coffees I consumed right now. So
I think this was my starting question for the discussion. I'll leave it actually for a second. I'll just go to Striker. New haircut or old haircut? It was a very divisive topic last week. I think a lot of people wanted you to stick with a very alternative hairstyle that you pulled, and now you're back to the tried and tested. What's the feeling like?
Actually not tried it. This is like what I had like 15 years ago, because like when you used to do this thing rather than like on the side or whatever, like this is kind of like my return to like my I don't know, high school days or something. So it's tried and tested a really long time ago.
Well, as long as you're happy, I'm happy as it is. For some reason, I lost Bleh on, but I see he's still there.
No, he's good,
which is interesting. As Chad is not here, I managed to like hijack the N1 moment and make it just about myself. So I'm just gonna do it right now, and I'm gonna ask Lucas to bring it up. And this, I'm going to ask, yes, Lucas, yes, I'm asking you to bring it up. As I said before the show, to bring it up at the beginning of the show, to have it ready. It's the picture. It's just a picture. It's just a bit of context for my week. I just moved. I got my apartment after a long, very difficult process, and it's amazing.
It looks like a psych ward.
is Lucas? Come on, man. Come on.
This is just unacceptable, Lucas.
This is it. This is how you know you are 30 plus. I am on this picture. I just got a new vacuum, and I'm as happy as I've been in the last 3 years.
I have the same one. I literally have the same one, Prof. And I was so happy when I got it. I started cleaning up and stuff. You know, it's great.
I literally just got it, instantly started vacuuming.
It's so good.
The whole place.
Does it have a little dial where it counts like the particles it picks up and everything?
Does it have the laser as well?
Oh, so fucking amazing, dude.
I'm not gonna name the brand, but if that brand would want to sponsor us, like I take like just send us free shit. That's all I need.
Just free vacuum cleaners.
Free vacuums are great.
Where the fuck did I transport? Like what happened? Why are we talking about vacuum cleaners?
This is it. I'm just talking about my life because why not? And also this is context for why I didn't really follow EPL this week. Because I
just vacuuming all the time.
I was just vacuuming the whole time. That's it. We can roll the bumper, go into recent news, and talk about Source 2 now. That's it. Okay, so I don't know if you heard about this, but there are some rumors about some updates coming out that are going to be pretty big. Bleh, you already started, and you kind of answered my question. My question to start this off would be for you to tell me how excited are you from 1 to 10, and 10 would be like child on Christmas morning, and 1 would be like having to vacuum, but with a like old big vacuum that you need to, that's not cordless. It's very cumbersome. That's very loud. Has like a very bad like pull and everything. Where would you put yourself on 1 to 10?
I put myself on an 11, where I'm afraid that if by touch wood doesn't happen, but if I like die in my sleep, I'm not going to wake up and I won't have a chance to play the new version of Counter-Strike like Source 2, and that's the level of excitement I'm at right now, because it looks like it's happening. I didn't want to believe in the rumors early on. We've had this for years, Source 2 this, Source 2 that. When is it going to be coming out? But right now it looks like it's just there. You might be waking up tomorrow morning. It's Wednesday or a Thursday morning for me at least, and it's a new game. I'm super excited.
Striker?
I'll put it at a 2 because Source 2. No, I am actually excited. I do think that people are kind of overestimating of what the impact will be just based on what we've heard so far. Like it's fairly like minute changes, but like what it means for the game overall, I think is pretty big. So that's kind of like where I'm at. Like I am excited about like seeing a new version because like we haven't seen anything like that happen for a long time, right? But like people are like, oh, what does this mean? Like how much is going to get changed and things like that. So far, like from what we've heard, it's not like there's going to be a lot of changes at the moment. But like what it means, how things can change further on, those options seem kind of limitless, maybe.
I do feel that is a little worrying for me as well, right? A lot of people who might not be in tune with the scene as we are, they're probably thinking it's literally a brand new version of Counter-Strike, like Counter-Strike 2, which is not going to be the case, right? Obviously, there's going to be a lot of revamps. There's going to be a lot of, hopefully, a lot of quality of life changes. We've heard about the 128-tick servers and all of that, a revamped matchmaking leaderboard, et cetera, which is great. But that doesn't mean the game is going to fundamentally completely change. It's not going to be a whole new game with like crazy, I don't know, like, brand new graphics or anything like that. And I hope that's not going to be too much of a disappointment for people when it comes out, right? You need to temper expectations a little bit. But that being said, for me, as a Counter-Strike fan for so long, even a small little change can mean so much in CS. Just even 120-tick servers, just that itself is such a quantum leap for the game as such. So I'm excited, but I do hope other people kind of realize that it's not a new game. It would make no sense for me looking at CS breaking player-based records every week seemingly for a new game to come on out. I don't want to see a 1.6 versus Source thing again. I was there when it happened in 2004, 2005, thereabouts. It's a bit of a... It was a rough time for CS, splitting the user base like that, and I don't think Valve are that dumb to make that happen.
No, I think especially because of their experience from kind of like even in 2012, where it was like heavily outdated. Like it really took a long time for people to really switch over, from Source to 1.6 because it's like people didn't know like, is this going to be the new game? Is it not going to be the new game? Like it just doesn't work that way. You know, like you see games like Dota, like League of Legends, and like all these games like that are modern, quote unquote. Obviously, like all of these games are like 15 years old at this point, but in a gaming world, it's still fairly modern, and they just get updated every year, like fairly substantially. You know, and it's still the same game. It changes dramatically. Like if you look at 10 years ago, even if you look at CSGO 10 years ago, like it was really very different, even graphically, and like a lot of the maps are completely like it does look like a new version, a new game, and that's just like how it goes with modern games that expect some sort of a legacy, you know, that expects to stick around for a while, and this is obviously the case for CSGO. So we shouldn't expect like a game that's suddenly going to cost $50 and, you know, like we're going to have to buy it and like everybody's going to have to switch. No, I think as much as Valve haven't like, or Valve haven't said anything about Source 2 for that matter, but you know, as much as there was like that Richard Lewis report kind of like almost made it seem like it was going to be a new game, it's not really going to be, you know.
Yeah, just to like give some the general disclaimers and stuff. We're not really presenting any new information that's not out there already, and we're not claiming like we're doing so. I think Richard Lewis's report was kind of the thing that tipped the scales from like, I mean, we've been hearing these Source 2 rumors for such a long time from kind of the same type of people, which were like the Valve CSGO update, you know, that kind of click, right? But people from the esports scene didn't really get involved in it that much. So when this comes out, it just gives a bit more legitimacy to it. And then what we're going to be doing here is kind of assessing, collating everything that's been out, giving our own opinions and maybe some like wishes and hopes that we have for the game, essentially. But yeah, just adding on to starting from the article, right? I think one of the things that was mentioned inside was the 128 tick matchmaking and potentially better matchmaking in terms of like what it offers, right? I think that might be kind of a big starting point in terms of what that means, because that goes directly into competition with like FACEIT and ESEA, and people have already started talking about it. And Boopski made a tweet that made big on Reddit. Like, what is the future of this like semi-casual? Not semi-casual, it's not even semi-pro, but like somewhere between casual and semi-pro, that kind of enthusiast gamers that are going to be playing on FACEIT, is that going to take away from the service if Valve offers like a comparable thing?
I actually feel it necessarily won't take away. I can see the arguments of why it could potentially, you know, people might be like, oh, why the fuck do you want to play on FACEIT or ESEA anymore, because, you know, you have 128 tick service right now, etc. But I feel like that would actually make a lot more newer players come in. We're already seeing, I feel like this big, you know, a bump in the user base we're having right now is a lot of newer players coming in, maybe from Valorant or Overwatch 2 or whatever other games are out there right now, right? And I feel like when it comes to the subscription-based services, it's also about, you know, when you pay money for something, you want to really commit to it, right? It does have a ladder directly to pro teams like FPL, for example. And also the anti-cheat. I don't think Valve mentioned anything about anti-cheat with Source 2. I don't think it's necessarily going to be a part of it. And one thing FACEIT does provide would be, you know, a cheater, at least on paper, a cheater-free environment. I think that's why a lot of people do play that. But now I feel like it gives more options, right? Like, for example, I like playing matchmaking with my friends. I just, you know, just fuck around there. But also I do like playing FACEIT sometimes a little bit more seriously with some other friends of mine who are more serious with the game. But now I don't have to compromise, so to speak, right? I don't have to play on 64-tick servers where everything's different. The nade lineups are different and all of that.
The nade
lineups,
though, that's the most annoying thing.
That's something I actually read this on Reddit. I think just a post that came out a few hours ago where they said it could be a tickless server. I'm not going to get into the details about that, but someone hypothesized that it could be Valve might decouple nade lineups from the tick rate. Right now, your nade lineups are very dependent on tick rate, which is why 64-tick jump throws is not equal to how it is in 128-tick servers. But if that's the case, that would make everything uniform. The same smoke you use on a 64-tick would be the same thing you could do on a 128 server. So I think that's great. Again, just theories out there, but I feel like these small little changes would really make things so much more uniform across Valve's, CSGO itself and third-party platforms. I think it's going to make things more seamless for people to maybe, if they want to take it more seriously, get into FACEIT, for example. So I don't think it's going to really take a big hit, in my opinion.
I do think that's actually maybe not short term, because like everybody's obviously used to using FACEIT, and like you were saying, there are a few things that I don't see Valve necessarily doing. We see, like, for example, like in League of Legends, the matchmaking system is literally in the game, and like even the pros play that because there's like the challenger level, like the highest level of like the rank, but that is really very heavily limited in terms of how many players get in there, like 500 or something, top 500. So it's going to be a lot of the pros and then like whatever the best talent is. The problem is, like, I don't see Valve being able to put up like the same level of service that Faceit does, for example, like for that specifically. I'm not so sure that that's going to happen in terms of the anti-cheat you were talking about and all that stuff. I do think that maybe further down the line, if they do put some work into it, that could happen eventually. Because like for new, especially like as newer and newer players come into the game, they will obviously want to play the matchmaking system that is in the game primarily, right? Like they're not going to go to like third-party places. So over time, I do think that it's going to decrease the impact of like a Faceit, ESEA, and all these third-party programs, as long as like Valve doesn't just like revamp the system and forget about the matchmaking entirely, and like don't do like other upgrades and improvements to how the system works and what the experience is like.
What do you guys feel like would be the biggest improvement that could come from this? At least from your maybe from your individual standpoint, not like maybe doesn't have to be the objective truth, but like I think that you would like to see an annoyance. I like for myself, I think just a mechanic that I don't think adds much to the game would be like the smoke fade. Essentially like being in the smoke, for you, the smoke fades kind of quicker. You see the opponent faster than the other guy looking into the smoke. I feel like that's, even though it's not as abused as it was before, because people kind of jiggle peek these fading smokes and stuff, kind of counter it. But I feel like it's just a stupid mechanic that doesn't really add much to the game. Like fixing these kind of things would be fun for me. And the smoke nade combo, when the particles of the nade just give a line out of the player behind it. We saw, I think, Monacy clip from his stream went kind of semi-viral recently on Anubis with this exact thing. It just feels kind of unfair and not really intended behavior, right?
Yeah, those are small things which I don't know. Obviously, it depends on how the new engine's going to react, right? I don't think that's something. I don't know. Like I would like to see that fixed as well. But for me, I'm just going to look at it from a more holistic thing. I would like to have 128 tick servers or tickless servers or whatever it is, and upgrade from what we have right now for the past 10 years. Second thing, proper leaderboard-based matchmaking with more visible progression, right? I'm not even talking about like battle passes and shit like that. Just like let people really enjoy seeing how they're progressing in the game and a leaderboard. I think that'd be great. And thirdly, I'd like them to add separate binds for a silencer and a scope. It's fucked me up so many times, Prof. I've just lost track. If they can add those three things, I'm just going to be very happy.
Didn't happen to Guerri last week? Like he got died a couple of things. And by the way, here we have exclusively Source 2 trailer just shared just instantly now by Valve.
That is cinematic as fuck.
Like how good the graphics look. This is
look at Nuke. Nuke looks so sick.
Now this is obviously the trailer for CSGO when it came out. I thought it was a fun thing just to play, to compare to maybe what the game is now and what they are kind of pushing forward. I know that there's a Molotov moment here on Nuke that they're like, oh my god, and that's kind of a fun thing. Maybe they had like one new nade or something like that, or some form of a mechanic that could be used. It would be interesting to see how that would develop. Just remembering how the Molotov thing was not really liked by the community. It was also overpowered, so it needed to be fixed, but it was like people just boycotted the thing and wanted it to removed completely from the game, which I think would be obviously a detriment to how the game is played now. I don't think anyone can think that the Molotov is like bad for the game.
I feel they're not going to add, like if I was Valve, I personally wouldn't be adding anything crazy new to the support coming in. I think they want to make sure all the bugs are sorted out, for the first couple of months in an open beta environment. And then after that, I'd like to see maybe a new gun coming out, just get I don't know, like a Scar L and just make it replace the FAMAS, because fuck that gun. A couple of new changes would be nice, but overall, I think just these small quality of life improvements and just making sure there are no bugs, right, which can potentially break the game. Because CS being CS, the tiniest little thing could completely ruin not just the player experience for the casual, but even the pro scene. So I'd like them to be a little bit more hesitant in adding anything crazy right now.
Yeah, I mean, just generally those things that you were talking about that seem to be, from what we've heard, it's not like Valve have ever said anything like of the sort publicly, but from what people have gathered, it seemed to be like some of these bugs that are like down to the engine are just like impossible to fix in the original one. You know, smokes particularly, and some of the nades and stuff like that that have been an issue. Kind of like the also like the limit, what do you call it? Not limitless, but you know what I'm talking about, the Molotovs that just like fly across the entire map. I'm just forgetting what it's actually
The
called
Magic
at this
Molly.
point. Magic Molly, yeah. There's been
Yeah.
like a few different terms for it. And some of these things, you know, that just haven't been fixed in the game. And it seems to be either because, you know, the devs have been like really busy trying to port the game to a different engine, so they haven't really paid attention to a lot of these like little bugs and changes. And I think that's also something that Richard Lewis mentioned in that report, you know, from the source that he had, that, you know, a lot of these like annoyances that people have were down to them just like having a lot more work to do, and that not being necessarily a priority because they were trying to get Source 2 out as soon as possible, you know, considering it's been, we've heard about that being in the works for like 2 years or 3 years or something at this point, you know. So like some of these changes that that we've just been kind of annoyed about for a while, that I would hope that that's, whether it's down to the engine or not, those would be kind of like a couple of things on my wish list. Another thing on my wish list that I don't think has anything to do with the engine would be to be able to buy both M4s at the same time. That would be kind of nice, just so we stop having this kind of like you have to choose one or the other. It feels like it's always been kind of counterintuitive to Valve's approach to like all guns being viable, and or like at least their attempts to make all guns viable to some degree. So like, why not just make them both available? You know, like it would just make perfect sense. Like you change positions, you buy a different gun. You know, like that seems like what Valve would want.
What about these are all like kind of in-game things. Just talking about what was in Richard Lewis's article was that it would come out by April 1st out of all dates.
I saw that.
So of course, which would be absolutely hilarious if that was true. Literally every journalist's nightmare for big news to drop on April 1st. And I'd love it because it's fucking hilarious.
April 1st is on a Saturday, and thus far Valve have released an update on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken, once or twice in the past 10 years. So it's very unlikely.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, I would agree. But let's say it comes out and this is like a open beta thing. What is realistic in terms of actually getting that into full release, right? And then how does this impact esports? That's kind of the discussion that people are having, because we are primarily here for the esports part, right? Mm-hmm. People are talking about, oh, is the second major going to be played, or is the first major going to be played on Source 2? Like, what is realistic here?
I think Striker was taking a look at that earlier, right? We were trying to refer back to Dota 2. I never played Dota 2, but obviously I remember when they switched over to Source 2 and it was called Dota 2 Reborn, right? And I think it was June 17th when they announced the open beta. And they said that they're most probably going to be merging it into the main branch, into the main game, immediately after the international, which was in September 8th or something. So it was like a 3-month-ish period between open beta and the international. And I think it kind of syncs up for CS as well. If they launch an open beta, well, anytime this month, and then we have the major in May, there's a couple of months of difference right there. So I'd assume they make it open beta now, and then sometime after the major, maybe within a month, is when they maybe just push it live.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, Valve have been pretty...
Valve time.
Not about Valve time. I was just going to say that Valve have been fairly consistent at putting out fairly significant updates, like leading up to majors, and they haven't necessarily given a fuck about like how it's going to affect the esports scene. Mostly, I would assume because they wanted the new game, the new patch to be seen at the major, you know, so that people get hyped about like what it actually looks like. They've always had the majors as kind of like another way to market the game and just show it to new audiences and things like that. It's always drawn a lot of audience from from like other games because it's the biggest thing we have. And so Valve have been fairly consistent at trying to put forth some of those key updates, even though, you know, we had major qualifiers going on, like just about to start and things like that. So it wouldn't shock me if they really wanted it to be ready by the Paris major. It would make more sense logically, just for like safety purposes. Like you don't want it for us as well, but just in general, like obviously if you put put up an update that is as significant as this, you want to have some time beta testing it and make sure that there's no really game-breaking stuff that happens, so that it doesn't affect the esports side too much. You know, there could be just like an unseen bug that just like suddenly comes up at the major. You know, like for example, like I didn't like this isn't necessarily a bug, you know, but there was the whole Fnatic boost at DreamHack Winter 2014, right? That kind of got patched like after the fact. That's just like came out of nowhere. Like only a few people knew about it. And like you wouldn't want something like that to happen at a major, because we all remember that major for that, you know, for that being kind of like the problem and the bug that like nobody necessarily wanted to see. Or I mean, there's some conflicting opinions on that.
Can you put numbers on what do you think? What are the chances of it being like live before the major, the Paris major?
I think
percentage wise.
You mean actually in the actual game, not a beta, right?
Yeah.
I think I would give it slightly over 50%. Like I think there's a better chance of it being being in the game before the major rather than after. But just because
bro,
of
it's
knowing
not
how
even
Valve
announced
works.
yet. He's giving it 50%.
He's wilding here.
Look, obviously, if it's realistic that it is going to be announced, like it seems to be really closing in very quickly. Like everything we hear, like it's like, oh yeah, that's just right around the corner, right? Even like this like. What was it, like warning that the possible major update for CSGO like yesterday night that happened.
Yeah.
And so like it really does seem like it could be even this week or even like in the next few days, you know, that could happen before the end of the week. And if that happens, we have 2 months before the major. And in that time, I can see there being enough beta testing for it to be ready. I don't think it should be, but I think Valve have like historically, I think Valve have been fairly consistent.
Listen. If this was 2015, I would be inclined to agree with you on this, because everyone remembers like when they added Overpass and Cobblestone. Literally, you just push out a map and they're like a randomizer, best of 3, NIP. Here's your fucking major. We're gonna get Cobble all day. But jokes aside, if you look at the past few majors, Valve have not really made any big changes and meta changing stuff like with new guns and whatnot in the past. I'd just say hazard a guess of like 4 or 5 years for that matter, right? 4 years, let's say, right? Look at Anubis coming in. It came in after the major. They could have pushed it before that. I don't think they've done any big meta changing pushes apart from maybe a new game mode like Danger Zone, or like, let's say, an operation or a couple of new maps being added for people to play, but not in the, you know, in the main competitive map pool, right? I don't think they've done that in the past 4 years. So for them to revert to what they used to do back in 2014-15, I think would be insane.
I mean, we had like the grenade dropping update that happened maybe 2 months before the major or something along those lines. I think like the last RMR was played on the grenade dropping update, and that was like the first tournament that was played on it. So I don't know, man. Like it wasn't that big though. I mean, at the time, I think we saw it as more as what we thought.
But I don't think you can. Like, how do you compare that to like?
No, I mean an engine change, right? That's huge.
Yeah.
Yes, Prof. I agree with you.
Of course. Like, I don't think. Again, I really don't think that they should, even for the reason that like you wouldn't want like Horror Mars to be played on one version and then suddenly like before the major like we shift over to Source 2. You know, like I really don't think they should. I just feel like I wouldn't be shocked if they did do that.
Someone in chat said the following. Volvo told Striker, we let you play the CSGO 2 alpha, but you have to change your hair to bangs for a while. seems pretty
seems realistic.
There's something sus there, something about it. That's the way in chat. Shout out to that guy. Yeah, I think that's kind of like wraps up the general Source 2 discussion. Am I missing something? What am I missing?
Not much. Like, look, everything's
simple tweet, simple bait tweet.
What do you say?
It has 100 keys available.
Yeah, listen, everyone has a CSGO beta key. Everyone's played it. We've all memed. I think we've covered almost everything, right? Like, if you think about it, everything's still a rumor, right? I know we kind of have an idea it's going to be coming out, but everything is speculation apart from maybe the servers and updated matchmaking thing. And of course, we saw literally a couple of hours back that they have added a dedicated, jump throw, bind key and whatnot, right? So we have an idea that it's going to be some substantial number of small changes being added to the game. And right now it's all about speculation. It's the night before Christmas. Everyone's really hyped up about it, but I also want some people to temper their expectations. It's not a brand new game. It's not going to be, a big jump from, let's say, 1.6 to Source, from Source to CSGO as you saw in the past. So it's not a brand new game, but I think it's still something we should be very, very, very much looking forward to.
Bro, like imagine if it just doesn't actually come out like anytime this year or something. Like it is the same bait we've heard like 3 years in a row. Like every time, oh, Source 2 is like right around the corner. Like I have it absolutely like 100% like next month by the end of the year. Blah 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 blah. Source 2 is gonna come and like literally never comes. And now
did the article from Richard mention which year it was? I know he said March and April 1st, but did it say 2023? Did it say 2023? I'm just checking here, guys. You know, you never know.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah, it would just be funny.
Sadly, don't have Chad here to get some of his thoughts and tinfoil hats on top of his nice Australian replugged head, but it is what it is. I'm sure we'll get some either later or in some of the next episodes. Let's move on to the rest of the things, and later if we have more thoughts we can always circle back or whatever. What is next on the agenda? I actually have to click things now.
It's the unbans.
We have the unbans. I think like TLDR, it's kind of not really groundbreaking, but it's something that didn't happen before, like Valve actually coming in after some times and like kind of changing their verdict on things. Tokyo in chat. Look at would you see? And he has 10 keys for the beta. Also, Ryan at Dust 2 obviously has a bunch of keys. What do you guys think about this one? Because I think it's a very peculiar thing to happen.
I think it should have just happened a long time ago, right? Like, it just didn't make any sense to me that Valve, first, they followed the ESIC rulings, which are there initially, that ESIC, they rolled it back, that, okay, they've served their period, and Valve's like, no, we're going to keep punishing them. That made zero sense to me. This should have happened a while ago. I think they've served their sentences, and apart from Guerri, the other two who got banned, I think they had like just 6-month bans or something like that, 6 or 7 month bans in total.
I mean, by ESIC, right?
By ESIC, exactly. Yeah. And yet they were like banned from majors for I don't know how long. So I think it's just a good thing. They should have done it a while ago. I'm very happy for all three of them.
Yeah, I mean, Toa especially, like he was just unbanned straight up. Like it wasn't even like a concession or anything. He didn't receive any concessions. He just got unbanned like a month before his ban was supposed to run out. Obviously, kind of late from the ESIC side anyway, as it always is. But like that's even like more egregious, right? Like with Apoka and Guerri, like they never got unbanned. They just got their bans heavily reduced based on, you know, whatever, assisting with the investigation and just like some other mitigating circumstances, right? But like with Toha, it was just he was literally unbanned and he was banned from majors until now, right? So that could have potentially affected his career to some degree.
Crazy scenes. I mean, yeah, there's a picture of Apoka, and Guerri is also on the show that we had in Brazil, talking about like their point of view, and they obviously like they hired some lawyers. There was some back and forth stuff going on. I don't know if that played a part in anything, but I think it's obviously a different case than the Hunden unbanning. This was like, yay, and the Hunden unban was like, no.
Yeah, let's we don't have to break him up.
But yeah, that was it was a nice thing. I don't know if our podcast did like 1% have an effect on anything, that would be amazing. I know they had some like nice words to say and speeches about their situation. Obviously both been around and like continue to do work on CS. It's not like they just like, oh, I'm banned, fuck off, and go to Valorant or whatever. They stuck to the game that they know and love, which is
the thing is like it was also affecting people who just wanted to work on broadcasts, right? Which was Apoka. Apoka wasn't even trying to coach. He was just like part of that whole Gaules gang, right? And just wanted to be as part of that, but couldn't be because of the ban, right? Like anything to do with broadcasting the major, like you couldn't have any of those people on, right? So like this is just like very career affecting stuff. And so I'm happy that at least finally we got something. Took much longer than we probably should have, right? But at least it happened in the end. I think there's one more thing that is kind of important in this, and I think it was from Just to US who reached out to ESIC, and they said they asked them a little bit more about the situation, and what came out of that was that like ESIC were apparently, I don't know, like I mean this could be just a smoke screen, right? But ESIC were apparently waiting on kind of like having an agreement with Valve about like how to approach these coaching bans that are still coming, that have been coming for like a year and a half now or whatever. And how
was that before the Stockholm or the Antwerp major? They were supposed to come out.
Antwerp,
I think, yeah.
That was the whole like Zonic thing, that he never got banned, even though like there was a lot of information about him being one of those people who were like just stuck in one of the other versions of the bug, and like
Was Malik also one of them? I think. Also.
I think Malik was might have been one of them, yeah, as well. And just like some of these people, that we never really heard like from like a year ago, right? That we heard, okay, there's another wave coming with like some of these like a little bit different situations. Never came, and ESIC claimed that it's because, or at least they were saying that they wanted to have an agreement with Valve so that what happened with Valve before, that they didn't really take those concessions into account and all that stuff. That doesn't happen again, so potentially, and this is like with a fucking massive asterisk because it is ESIC, and every time we hear, oh, something's around the corner,
it's worse than Valve.
Like, it is even worse. It's even worse than Valve time, man. Like ESIC time is like 5 times Valve time, like it's crazy.
And it's even worse because it's actually people's careers on the line. So yeah, I don't want to get into that. It's gonna open a can of worms.
Great situation. Moving on to the next one, that's definitely not going to upset you at all, Bleh, is the topic about IHC and score.
Why do you think that's not going to upset me? This upsets me a lot.
Felt sarcastic.
That was a sarcastic.
Okay, I can't make out a difference, Prof, with your intonation.
Yeah, I do have this like Balkan face and intonation that goes like from this as sad to this as excited, and this is like between. And that's all I have.
All right, JKS.
That's why I'd be a great caster. Put me and Yanko together.
That'd be amazing. I would watch the fuck out of that. Yeah, this was a bit of a shocker. I won't lie. It really sucks because IHC really were showing a lot of promise. If you ask me, they were playing a lot of events. They're going to be playing Rio. The RMRs are the heavy favorites. So the RMR, potentially the major. And he is a crucial component of that team, right? I think he's one of the better players they have. When it comes to being a little bit having more smarts in the game. I've heard conflicting rumors about this. I don't have clear-cut information, but from what I've heard, from one side is that the org's not doing well, as we all know. A few of the owners of the parent company they got arrested because, for those of you unaware, IHC, it's something hedging coin, inflation hedging coin, and some of those guys got arrested, but they said that the parent org is different from the esports org, which is fair, right? But obviously, when your parent company are under investigation, it's not looking good overall. So I've also heard that Score maybe wasn't happy there, or maybe he was looking for greener pastures down the line. But then we saw the Instagram story he put up where he's like, I got kicked from the team, and they dropped him to pick up Hasteka, who's a guy who's played in the team in the past when they were called Checkmate, but he's played in like so many teams. He's almost like a stand-in sort of player in the past. So, and I'd rate Score way above Hasteka. And even if they were picking up a new member, I think Mongolia has a lot of very talented youngsters right now. I would expect them to go with someone else, someone better than this fifth. So the fact they're making this change right now, just prior to the RMR and Rio, it makes no sense. And I feel like there's more that we don't really know about and someone's not saying. And there's been no public statement, by the way, from Score either. And even for IHC, they haven't said anything apart from, goodbye, Score, right? So it's a bit of a question mark. It sucks, Prof. I'm depressed. Give me a hug.
I do have to say that from like...
All right.
From kind of all the sides that I've also talked to, it seems like it was simply a decision of, okay, like we just want to replace Score. Or maybe not replace Score, but we just have a different player coming in, and like that's just the decision. Like apparently, like just a better solution for moving forward. Which is kind of crazy to me. Like to make this decision, like whatever, a month after they made that Katowice run and just like made their best result ever. Like why would you make that change? Of course, EPL didn't go quite as well, but they were still competitive in some maps, and there were still some signs that okay, it wasn't a complete fluke or complete one-time thing that they did well in Katowice, right? So it just comes at a really weird time for me. Like maybe it is them trying to get ahead of things. Maybe there was something else happening in the background with Score that like we don't see into. It seems like one of those situations where like maybe he wasn't the best teammate, whatever. Like I'm just 100% speculating here. Maybe like just wasn't showing improvement or whatever it was. Maybe there was a specific issue in game that they weren't happy about and he wasn't like trying to address, right? It could be like one of those things. It just doesn't really make sense to me in terms of the timing. Like why would you bring in somebody else at this time?
I don't know. What about? I mean, this Azteca thing, that's not official. I don't see it on HLTV yet, so it's rumored or like strong.
I've heard from a couple of sources. I've seen people tweet about it, but also like spoken to a couple of people who said, yeah, he's going to be probably coming in because Cabal's still on leave. I think Cabal, when he comes back, is going to be just replacing Botak. So I don't know right now. Like, really not much information to work with. But that being said.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about the other players that you think would be good fits.
I think a couple of guys from the NKT roster would be great, right? I don't know, like, is Dobu still there? I think Dobu's still there. There are a couple of Mongolian players over there. I'm just
quickly look up. It's Aircast 9 and Senzu. 9 and Senzu are both oppers, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't pick those. I think Annihilation has more overall. Like, I know it's still very raw right now, but I wouldn't replace him. I don't know, man, like, fuck it, to get Dobu or Orcast or something. Like, you have experience right there, right? But apart from that, like, if you look at, there are a couple of teams out there in Mongolia who are, like, very competitive with IHC, and they have a lot of young star players. So I feel like, and also I'm assuming the buyout wouldn't be that much for these guys, you know, as orgs. It's not, like, insane like some of the Chinese orgs, like Tyloo or Rare Atom or Vici or these teams. So I feel like they could easily, you know, give a lucrative offer to one of these players. And I think the players would be just more than happy to jump onto this team, right? You already have guaranteed events down the line. You're going to be playing Rio, the RMR, and everything. So I would rather them trial someone a little bit more fresh rather than, you know, someone we've seen hasn't really been doing much even in the regional scene like Azteca. But maybe they have something, you know, in mind. I don't know. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, that's the official thoughts of the official Asian expert, Bleh. How do you feel about being called the Asian expert, Bleh? Are you finally have you got rid of that, and are you just a human being now? Or are you still the Asian guy?
The jury's kind of out if I'm still just a human being, in all honesty, Prof. You know, but at the same time,
we know you're not, but okay.
Don't tell them. But yeah, like, it's nice to at least have a team I can kind of like talk about, right? Like, it's always like, obviously I feel super happy about the APAC scene whenever we have like a team have a pull off a crazy upset run and whatnot, and we haven't had that in years, right? Like, Tyloo just shat the bed time and time again. Rare Atom or Vici Gaming, they show up and then they capitulate when they need to, like, just win one more map. To see a team actually knocking out other teams in a pretty solid manner, and also showing that it's not a complete fluke. Even in EPL, sure, they only beat EG, but that's a quote from Annihilation, by the way. You know, but apart, just EG. But apart from that, even when they lost, right, I felt like there were very few complete blowouts, right? They need to expand their map pool for sure. Their Inferno looks pretty damn solid. Their new, you know, still 50-50, and it kept going up against some of the best teams in the world on that particular map who specialize on those maps as well. Yeah. So. And also like the approach they have overall. Sure, they fuck up so many times where I just get frustrated, but overall, I like the approach they have, and that means it's not reliant on a Ben Ted just dropping a 40 kill and, you know, giving Tyloo a fluke win. And that is what excites me about this team right now.
Yeah, if anything, this is like for Tyloo, it was a feature, not a bug, in terms of how they played. And I think for IC it's the other way around. You know, it's kind of a bug, not a feature in terms of how they play, because you still see those kind of like, I don't want to call it Asian moments, because it's kind of like, it's very like generalizing and kind of very specific to Tyloo, especially. Just like they will just hold W all of a sudden, like, or just like push in like a 4v3 situation and just like could go completely chaotic, you know, sometimes. So I think for them, it's just like errors that they have to work out rather than like an actual feature of their playstyle. So when they get to that point where they get somebody, I was just curious, like when I heard that they were going to make a change and that this was actually their choice and not like some contractual situation or like organizational stuff and stuff like that, I thought they were going to get somebody experienced, because that's what they're missing, right? Like they just don't have a guy who necessarily has, especially that another Cabal is kind of like on the sidelines, right? And we don't know like when exactly he was going to come back. I thought they were just going to add somebody who has some experience from maybe it could be Aircast, you know, who has.
I think Aircast would be a great ad, man. The guy can still frag. He could be a great secondary IGL. And Blitz he's a raw fragger IGL. Like, he doesn't necessarily have to, you know, to take the entire load. So Aircast coming in would be, and with Cabal coming back, I think that would be great for the team. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it just felt like that would have been like an interesting solution, you know, just because, okay, like you guys have some raw talent, you have like Annihilation, Blitz, you know, Techno has some of his moments sometimes. Maybe if they get a little bit more experience, maybe some guy who has a little bit more of that experience from like international tournaments, then you have something, you know. But like this change never really made sense to me.
We'll see how it develops. Like they have consistently somewhat over-delivered, I would say. Like over the last 6 months, they always did got maybe one more win than we expected, which is I think nice. And they're making the majors. They're competing. They're also not getting blown out in these games, even the games that they lose. So I think, some of them, yes, but for the most part, it's competitive. So
yeah, they always have like one close map, even against the best teams like Outsiders or like even Fnatic. They beat them on Overpass, I think. And some of these games, like even when they get blown out of a couple of games, like they win one map, like in Inferno.
Yeah, so that's nice to see. I think it's really a shame that they had to go through so many changes, because like they're obviously getting experience, but if you change parts of that experience, it doesn't really like add up the same way it does if you have like a stable core. So we'll see how it develops, but it's nice to have like a Asian representative, right? I don't know how much it plays, how much other people from other Asian countries can like cling on to this as like their success, right? Because usually that's kind of how it happens to some degree, you know. There's a team from my region, so this I can support them, I can watch. I don't know how much like a Chinese viewer would care about a Mongolian team. Probably not that much. What do you think?
Yeah, probably not so much. But I don't know. I can't speak for them, but I'd happily claim them. Yeah. My Mongolian boys, baby. Let's fucking go, right? But in general, even Chad and I were just like super happy whenever we see like a team from that entire region, you know, really do stuff. And right now, it's a little bit of a struggle city for the teams from down under. We don't have any teams from Southeast Asia, so the only teams remaining would be the Mongolians, who, listen, man, they had opportunities to move on to the other game when a lot of teams in the region did, being ignored by not just by the international scene, but you know, even in the region, they're so far away from, let's say, you know, Southeast Asia or like China or thereabouts. But they stuck to the guns. They stuck to Counter-Strike, and it's great to see that product coming in, right? Like this is a new generation. Look at how young they are. These guys started playing Counter-Strike only with CSGO, and you can see them doing decent damage. I think that's a great sign for the scene, and I think as a region, everyone should just support them. Absolutely.
That's amazing. We have the next topic is AZR returns to Sprout, but we can keep that just for a minute and talk about the Impact news, because waiting for Chad to come in, and that's his ex-teammate. And we have Bleh here to talk about Impact. And you're officially the Impact expert, because I just said you're now the Impact. You're no longer the Asian guy. You're the Impact.
I'm the Impact guy.
Yeah,
I like.
You have long hair as well, so I don't know what that means, but it probably.
I don't know what that means, Prof. What does that mean, Prof?
I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. People in chat have been saying that you're a girl. SPUNJ said that, so that's it.
I mean, that explains a lot about SPUNJ. Anyway.
Yes, for your Instagram.
He has my Instagram. Just slide in my DMs. Easy. Impact news: Juliano, zAAz, and Olga. Yeah, I saw that. The Olga one was a bit of a surprise. I think she said she's going to be joining international team.
Yeah.
Bro, imagine if she goes to Enigma.
That'd be interesting. But she said international team. Is that going to be an Impact team, or is she looking to like play, you know, in just a general team? I don't know. I think that'd be wild if she does that.
Wait, does he have the exact same one too? I think he has the same vacuum cleaner.
No, that's not the same one. That's not the same one.
It's not the same one, but it looks like
the same one. I think it's a version.
There we go. All right, guys. Sorry, I've been doing a lot of chores today, guys. I've just been doing a lot of chores. Sorry, it's been a busy day, everybody. Hope I didn't miss too much. Just a quick hello to Prof. That's Zvonimir. Hello to Striker. That's Milan. Hello to Bleh.
Can you say his last name?
Oh, his last name.
Okay. Go on. Don't search. Don't search. You have to know that.
Well, I couldn't know off the tip of my. I can't fucking say that. Wahang Bam. Am I close?
You're close enough,
pretty
Chad.
Close.
I'll give you 5.
How do you pronounce it? Like it actually in
Wang them.
What?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, it's even better than I thought.
Wang them. Like the ng Wang. Is like it's an sound. Like
Wang.
I'm not getting that right, mate.
I know, Chad. It's okay. I forgive you.
I can't even get my own name right, mate.
It's like some of those Danish words. It's like you don't pronounce half of it. It just becomes like.
Yeah, people say my name's hard, and then I look at like some of the Danish names, and some of the Swedes are fine. The Danes especially. I'm like, what the fuck?
What did I miss, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Counter-Strike fans around the globe? Welcome to HLTV Confirmed episode number. I don't know. It doesn't matter anymore. Brought to you by BitSkins.
Did you see my?
Yep.
homage to your
How
intro.
was it? How was it? Was it well received?
I don't know what people said. I didn't pay attention. I was just focusing on my performance here. I was like shutting down everything. The millions watching across the world. But I think people had fun. So
nice. I enjoy that. I like you've got a nice white wall. You have a very blank canvas.
I mean,
as long as you have internet, that's all that matters when you're moving.
Striker said it looks like a loony bin. So
like a psych ward.
We just need some padded walls.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Okay. So here we go. Rock up fucking 45 minutes late. Let's see. Okay. So you guys talked about the conspiracy theories. You talked about some unbanned coaches. You covered off on score. Yeah. You solved that mystery. And now you're up to the piece of news as to why I'm here.
Yeah, we just spoke about Impact shortly. G2 brought back zAAZ and Juliano. That's like a thing to just touch on. That I think it's exciting to have them back in CS. That's a cool storyline. And there was a cool storyline between like Vilga, who is now like #1, who used to be like #2 when these were around. And it's going to be like kind of an inverse of what it was in the women's scene like 3, 4, 5 years ago. So that's exciting.
And we always like it when people return from Valorant to Counter-Strike.
Yeah, we always like welcome them back.
It's just to welcome back home, you know?
Yeah.
We make fun of them for just a bit.
But we're allowed to, right?
They were making fun of themselves too. Like it was like, did you see the video that was connected to it? It had Nico in it.
Oh no.
It was a good video.
I did see the video,
It was not bad.
Nico loves the acting
like
these days, doesn't
finally
he?
coming back to the real game and things like that. Like just classic G2 stuff. Like very, very classy.
They weren't as self-deprecating as usual. Normally quite self-deprecating. One of the things was just like, yeah, just make a good roster and win. I was like, oh well, that is the recipe. That is how you tend to win. You just shoot people. That's how it goes.
But now they can say that they're winning, you know. So like, what is there to be self-deprecating about when it comes to Nico and G2, you know?
Yeah. Well, look, gentlemen, I'm gonna have to go AFK in a couple seconds time. There's someone coming to my door. I want to say seconds, I mean minutes. However, we can get into this next topic and we can talk about one of everybody's most exciting pieces of news here. And it's obviously Azza returning to Sprout. Now I'm going to be honest with everybody. I'm going to spill the beans. I'm going to speak the truth. I didn't think Aaron would be getting another team. I thought it was done. I thought it was done, mate. I thought after he went back and he played for those Encore guys in Oz, and that didn't go very well. I thought that was it. I thought that was, you know, that was the last dish attempt. Nothing really great came out of that. It felt like, you know, going home to give everybody a bit of a wave. But obviously he lives in Denmark. He wants to get back in the server. He wants to compete. Sprout an in-game leader. He's getting an opportunity now to play with 4 pretty nifty young fraggers, and now it's a chance to see if he can stick the landing. Like this is
that a pun intended or
no pun intended? They're just nifty. They can shoot some shots, right? They all can. Long stare. I think zellow's looked good. Like these kids can shoot. Xiphon, we all know what they could do. Now Prof's gone. Come on, Prof. We all have to be here at once, man.
I just lost Bleh for some reason, so I want.
No, we lost you, Prof. Stop lying.
But yeah, I don't know. Do you guys think this can work? Because I don't. It's the best opportunity that I think he could get at the moment for sure.
Yeah, for Azza for sure. I think he's going to be obviously giving it his all, right? A second chance, a second lease at continuing his career. But I don't know what's really going on with Sprout, right? Like the entire refresh thing, he steps down, they get the new guy, MOUZ, I think it was, a couple of days. Then he's like, yep, he's no longer the IGL. I'm like, what? Something is going on with the team. And
now,
then
like,
refresh steps down.
There, but not there.
And then Xiphon gets benched, he comes back, and it seems like no one's really holding the reins of that team. There seems to be no like clear-cut leadership. Not even like at this point, you know, at least even in EG management would be like, all right, guys, we're gonna do this. But honestly, right now it seems like the Wild West. No one seems to know what's happening.
I kind of disagree. I think they are doing what EG doesn't have the balls to do, and that is like when they make a bad decision, be like, okay, this is not working. Fuck it, we're gonna try the next thing. And they tried 5 things. I know it looks kind of ridiculous. But it's better to like, if it's not working, just change it. Doesn't matter if it's 2 days and you see like this guy has no clue what he's doing. We're not going to give him 2 months to hope that he's magically going to put it together.
I think the issue is they've been trying to work out how they wanted to proceed, right? Because obviously they put Xiphon on the bench and then they let Refresh try and continue this in-game lead and stuff. It didn't go too well. Then they tried to bring in this MOUZ situation. They're like, okay, well, this isn't going to work either. We need someone who's established an in-game leader. Like you have Berry as a very strong coach who can help the team, but I feel like they think they need an established voice. And sure, Aaron hasn't played in a long time. If he puts in the hours, you know, if he's doing the 12 to 14 hour a day grind, like pracking, pugging, like living and breathing the game again, then yeah, like I think there's an opportunity with the pieces he has. You have to get up to speed with the meta. You have to make sure you're hitting shots. You can't just be fucking not doing anything. So look, I agree with you, Prop. I think they've made some choices that seem like kind of knee-jerk to us on the outside, and I don't think they exactly knew where their plan was, but they were making changes because they knew something wasn't right.
Yeah.
But the problem is they've only won fucking 1 out of their last 15 series because of all of this nonsense.
Yeah.
There's the best of ones in there. That run really hurts. Anyway, I got to bear it back. Keep the conversation going. I know you guys can do it.
There we go. I'm back in the seat.
I feel just to add on one final thought would be like looking at the results of the major, right? I was speaking to Refresh back then after they got eliminated and everything. I was talking to him like, hey man, still a good run, and he was just genuinely overall pretty optimistic about things, right? He's like, coming from Heroic, coming into this team, I try to inculcate what I learned from Heroic. Obviously, it's not going to work the same, right? Everyone needs to be on the same page. So I'm trying to come up with my own style, but it seems to be working. It's all about growing as a team. Some of them are very young, etc., etc. So for me, like looking from the outside, just listening only to him, by the way, no one else I spoke to there from his team, it looked like they were on the right path. So for them to just go through this very turbulent period, I feel it's, it could be a lot of inner conflicts happening inside. Some of the new kids are like, fuck you, I don't like the way you call, I'm gonna call, and some shit like that. So yeah, I get it could be kind of chaotic. Also goes to show how lacking we are in IGLs right now, that they're like, all right, let's get Azur out of retirement, let's fucking go for it, right? It's just the lack of good IGLs, a diamond to find in the current Counter-Strike environment.
Funnily enough, there was like some rumors about Fear being like one of the people that they also considered and then trialed, which is, I mean, that would have been like from all the way that like they had those like qualifiers that they played with Smuya, right? And there was like a lot of good stuff that people have said about Fear. And how much, what he was like capable of doing with just like a mixed team, that didn't really have a lot of practice. So it was curious that they went with Azza in the end. As SPUNJ said, like I was looking at his history, and outside of that Encore stint that he had only in Australia, like last time he played was a year and a half ago with Extremum.
Crazy.
Which is
and Extremum
a long
was
time.
Absolutely
that was really bad, at that time as well, So it's definitely going to take some time.
His last relevant experience was like then 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Or maybe even more.
That means it's going to take some time to get up to speed for sure, because it's just like that's a long time to be away from the game. And especially at that time that it was still online and like things still weren't really progressing towards like the meta that we have now, which is, I would say, quite different compared to then when like, like Gambit were on the rise and just like that kind of like playstyle started being really popular. So I'm skeptical, but not necessarily because of Azza, but more because that the Zello change hasn't really been paying off in terms of him individually, because he's been averaging something like 0.95 rating, which for an Opera, that's that was supposed to be kind of at least like a 3rd, 4th star. Like that's really bad for sure. Yeah. So like he definitely needs to put up some numbers for an Opera, otherwise like that could just be another change, that they make. Because they realize, okay, like this, he's just not progressing, he's not getting better. So hopefully he will find some form, and when he does, I think this team could work, even if Azza doesn't put up like even like 0.95 ratings. Even if he's like that type of an in-game leader who's just going to be like 0.85 all the time, like he has the stars around him to have enough firepower that they can make up for that. It's not going to be some world-beating team, like we're not expecting that from Sprout, but they will be capable of maybe like kind of like targeting that top 15 consistently, getting some wins off like of the more established teams, and that's about like where I would expect them moving like in the next, let's say, half a year.
I have a question from something you just said there. You said like we don't expect a world-beating team from Sprout. I agree, but don't you think the previous roster, like the heights of them was like starting to threaten for to be a good team? Do you think they were on the right path?
But by world beating, I mean like title contender.
Like
it's
top
not a
3,
team that exactly. Like at top 5, even like actually making semifinals, like that type of stuff. Like fringing on the elite. That's what I mean by world beating team. We could expect them at that time to maybe fight for like a top 10, and like be somewhere on the edge of that, and like take some wins off of the like top 5 teams every now and again. But not be able to like challenge them consistently. I think that's kind of like an area that Sprout can fight for, as long as they have an Opera that actually does put up the numbers.
Okay. Well, what about the lifespan of this team here? Are we just assuming if they don't get through the Armada of the Major, that'll probably be it, and then they might continue to aggressively change some stuff up?
I think the problem was going to be like other people poaching their
Does.
Yeah, Stare, for example, I think is the number one on the list for Astralis.
But that could work nicely, right? For Astralis, they go into the major run with this team. They do okay. You know, things don't go well for Sprout. Stare becomes available. A good pickup, one for the future for that team, right? So I think you've got, what, 30 days into the RMR? So that's the thing. Like, prove it can work. Prove it can work, or that's it.
How is that possible?
That's so rough for Aza. Imagine just coming in. His last international LAN was in 2020, and I was going to coming in and with a bunch of 4 new kids who have been struggling recently, and they're like, all right, just qualify for the RMR, you know?
This is not going to work. It's just not going to work. It's mission impossible. Like, if he pulls it off, fucking giga props. That's why I'm setting it up like this, because if they actually make the major, that's insane, honestly, for me.
You don't think they've got any shot? I think they're in the Group B, right?
Of course they have a shot, but like there's like
it's a short timeline for sure.
There are so many teams that are decent.
They're in
the problem.
Which group are they in? They're in Group A, not Group B, I think. Where are we at here? Yeah, so they're in the same group as Outsiders, MOUZ, Fnatic, Na'Vi, FaZe, Sprout, Bad News Eagles, and then you got some whippersnapper names, right? OG's in there, Apex,
Legion's there.
They're definitely
there's some bogey
underdogs there.
Yeah, but that's the thing. The cusp of this one, though, Bleh, you look at this. I know we're going to be a bit ahead of ourselves here. Like, you probably think Outsiders, MOUZ, Fnatic, Na'Vi, FaZe should all be safe. And then you don't know what's going on with the OG situation, so you put them as a cusp team. Bad News Eagles always good for a couple of best of one wins. Like, it's pretty fucking scary out here.
That is true. Game Legion can always be dangerous. A 1 win as well. Like, you never count them out. Like, look at some of the names over there.
Apex are getting a bit of traction as well at the moment. So.
True.
Yeah, there's a lot of booby traps there for him, isn't there?
That's true.
All right. Well, should we do this? Lucas, are you here? Yeah, chat, I'm here. All right, Lucas. Can you run the ad break? Run the ad break, Lucas. Run the ad break, mate. We're in an hour. Let's do the ads. We'll be right back.
Here's a good vibe, trend. Here's a good vibe, trend. Here's a good vibe, trend.
Finally, I found what I was looking for. Now that my search is over, it's gonna be a tough choice. But fortunately, no need to choose. When you can just have them all. Buy and sell skins on BitSkins.com.
Your bet, your game.
We're back from the break, baby, and my SteelSeries stuff. I think it's at the local pickup point, and I have to go pick it up. But because I haven't been home a lot, I've been missing a lot of the delivery. So I'll have to go tomorrow, as I have a slip of paper that has my name on it and a package that I need to pick up. I would love to try out the headsets; they look very comfortable. I would like to get a new mouse pad here as well. So
you can just do it now, chat. Just, bring your phone and you live stream the whole thing. And then once you're back...
I'm pretty sure the post office doesn't work at 9 p.m.
It's 9 o'clock, Lucas. This isn't fucking Denmark, mate. This isn't the future. This is Malta.
24-hour service?
What do you mean? It gets handed off at like some little fucking convenience store down the road, mate. I live in a place that's basically Australia from the 80s. Like, what are you talking about,
the best time.
Yeah, we have DSL internet. Like, no, that's not true. I think
I got
all right.
fiber in my new apartment.
That's quite nice.
It's fucking pretty amazing.
All right. Look, let's do something else that's pretty amazing. We're going to do Skinionaire. Who wants to be a Skinionaire? It's a game brought to you by BitSkins. And, well, Bleh, are you happy to be our contestant this evening?
Yes, I am. Let's go.
Wonderful. I'm glad that you are prepared for this. Now, Striker, would you like to be the lifeline?
Yeah, can
You know, the
as always.
lifeblood. Really, you are the
Target's my
soul.
lifeline. Oh shit. Okay.
You can call, phone a friend. It'll be Striker. You can 50-50. That'll be Striker telling you which to 50-50 it down to. And I don't know what the last clue they give you in Millionaire is, but you can have that.
It's also call a friend whose Striker just gives you the right answer.
But there was one more. Isn't there 3 lifelines?
Ask the audience. Ask the audience.
Oh, ask the audience.
It's a
And you can
voting
ask
thing,
the audience, which is also Striker.
Actually, we should start.
Remember when we did the Smarter Than Twitch chat, where you actually had to fight the Twitch chat for the correct answer?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Bring that back. And then then our contestant can win the skin or Twitch chat can. That could be, they could actually have a more, and we could maybe, yeah, all right. Anyway, I'm rambling. Let's get into this fucking game show, shall we?
What the hell happened, Lucas?
Well, our boxes, we're moving around a lot, you know. Okay, who wants to be a Skinionaire? Brought to you by BitSkins. Question number 1. Renegades have won one notable trophy. Which one? IEM Shanghai, WESG 2017, or StarLadder Shanghai? I know the answer to this one.
Were you there?
Wait a minute.
No.
No, it's not IM Shanghai. It's a lot of Shanghai, or is it at least a lot of Shanghai?
Bang. I know Bleh's correct. I'm locking it in. Not even asking a question. I think this is when they had Nifty and Ustilla, maybe.
Yep.
Oh, it's like a slightly
NAF.
yeah.
It was NAF.
It was NAF.
Is it enough?
Okay.
Huh.
Yeah, well,
I don't think Nifty and NAF played in the same lineup.
kind of weird to think Jake Hess and NAF did.
Yeah,
Crazy.
Yeah, a little
Right?
bit.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was easy. Nice. Question number 1. Out the way. Let's keep them coming hot, fast, thick, and ready. Question number 2. What was the nickname of the German player on Optic India?
YB.
Okay.
He's a friend. That's an easy one.
There was a German player on Optic India?
Yeah. Here's the IGL, I think, right?
He was IGL.
Oh, man.
I know the
gonna-
name, but I don't know why.
I just searched YB. I can't see him on. He's not
I
on.
think his name is Lucas as well.
Is he on HLTV? I can't.
He's on
poor,
HLTV.
poor guy, man. Oh, well, sad days. All right. I forgot to say as well, people in chat type BitSkins. If you're not already, you want to enter the draw. It's your raffle ticket. Your chance to win a
They
skin.
know the drill.
Just maybe some new users, Prof. You know, we got told by the same producer we have for DreamHack years that it's 80% of the audience is new every time we're on air, which I don't think is the same for a podcast at all. Anyway, back on topic. Question number 3. Out of 8 minors, Tyloo failed to advance from just 2. Taipei and Katowice, Seoul and London, Berlin and Katowice.
Is that a typo?
Tyloo. It's option number 1. Taipei and Katowice.
Yeah, I remember the Taipei one.
One of them, because one of them was a cheaty boy. Had a Vacuum ban account, didn't he?
I remember. Yeah.
That was that Didi's brother?
Didi's brother. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it QZ? I think.
QZ.
It was
Yeah.
QZ. Yeah.
Little Vacuum account.
I remember that.
Bleh
Yeah.
proving his Asian expert title is not in vain.
See? Look, he's smashing it. He's 3 from 3. Oh, I didn't lock it
more.
in. I did lock it in.
It is
Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's in. It's the big
I
green.
like how 2 of the questions have to deal with cheating, but okay.
and I
Honestly, forgot about the
Optic
cheating
India.
part in the Taipei backstory, but it is
you know,
what it is.
someone's got to do it. All right. No one has to do it, guys. That was a joke. No one has to cheat. All right. Question number 4. Where does the name of Tyloo come from? Ooh, a mythical creature, the owner's name, or a sponsor?
I found this on the other website that has stuff
the
about
other
HLTV.
website. The other
website.
About CSGO.
I don't know the answer to this one. I don't know the law of the name.
I
I
mean,
think it's a sponsor. YOLO. Fuck it. Sponsor. Lock it in.
What does Striker think?
I was gonna say mythical creature, right? They have the whole dragon thing. I know it's like Chinese and blah blah blah, but feels like that makes a lot more sense.
Or is it the owner's name?
I know who the owner is.
Let's do a
so-
50-50. Let's do a 50-50.
Yeah,
Fuck it.
50-50 it down here for a
50-50,
striker.
I can only do one, so I'll remove sponsor.
Oh, so it's mythical creature or owner's name. We got 12 seconds. Are we going with mythical creature now? I need an answer, gentlemen.
I haven't heard of anyone called Tyloo. Yeah, mythical creature. Fuck it, let's
mythical
go with a safe
creature,
one.
logging
Safe
it
one.
in. And the correct answer is bing. Mythical creature.
Is it a dragon or not?
Yan Lu, not a dragon, but a different creature, says a guy in chat. I don't know what creature it is, but I don't think it is a dragon.
Four and
So
four.
the Tyloo thing
Cool.
is not
We
even a
take that.
dragon.
Their logo's
Yeah.
cool though. Their mouse pad with the dragon on it's really cool.
Still have it. Still have it.
Yeah,
Great
it's
mouse pad.
banging. It's a really good logo. Hopefully they could be a better Counter-Strike team. All right, question number 5. We're ready to jive all the way to the bank here. Which Chinese player has the most HLTV maps played? Is it Slowly, Savage, or Summer? I feel this one here is slightly misleading.
Oh, why would you say
Slowly,
that?
Savage,
Chad.
or Summer?
Are you calling me?
No, I just think
misleader?
Savage
makes sense, right?
He did play a lot in early CSGO.
But how many does he also played 1.6?
1.6 he played, yeah. I don't know if that counts though. I think
that doesn't count. Doesn't count.
Yeah.
Doesn't count.
Okay.
Then you feel like it has to be Summer, right?
Has to be Summer. Then I go with Summer.
I'll just look at Prof's face.
Be, right?
Just look at Prof's face.
I can't read his fucking face. Look at that.
Just glare at him right now. You got 15 seconds.
He's broken. He broke. It has to be Summer. It's Summer.
All right. Bonus points if you can tell everybody the name he used to use.
Fancy. One.
There it is. Bonus points. Bonus points for Bleh. 5 from 5. It's raining skins, ladies and gentlemen.
You're welcome,
Spin
people.
around right now. One of you at home is going to be a lucky winner, picking up a $50 valued skin brought to you by BitSkins. That's Juliano B. That's JA double, or it could be JANAU _B. There's a lot you could do with this name here. JANNAU _B. We got there eventually. That's JANNAU _B. Our people will reach out to your people. Reading's hard. All right.
Lucas, can we make the thing, the bank thing for next time? So when someone, whatever they win, they can put it in the bank for the double, like give it to the next guy.
Who gets to decide that?
The player, the guy that answers the questions. Bleh would be like, does he want to give away $50 skin or put it in the bank? And that like accumulates over time.
Oh.
Then maybe we give it like $2,000 skin.
Wow. Okay.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's an idea. Would the people at home like that? If you're at home, would be interested in that, creating a pot?
I think we'd piss off some. I think we'd piss off some, but potentially a lot of winners.
But one person would win more.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's kind of biased because 99% of people right now are going, just collate it all together and do it again. But it kind of sucks for the winner, though, right?
I mean, we can't do it after we've drawn a winner.
No, I know. We'll do it
next
week. We'll do it next week. I'll remember.
We're gonna go broke if we do that.
How are we gonna go broke? We're still giving away the same value.
We're not doubling anything. We're just adding it to. It's the same amount.
So let's say, Lucas, that this week Blair got all correct, right? And he says, "Nah, save it for next week's." And then next week someone comes on, then they get 2 correct. And they're like, "Nah, give it away." Then you give the 5 plus the 2.
Yeah, it's like 60 or something.
Yeah,
and that's it.
We work it out. All right, cool. Evolving the game show live on air. All right, let's jump forward. We got some EPL to talk about here, and this is, I guess, the bulk of the conversation here this evening. Okay, gentlemen, Pro League Group B, Week 2. Did you all stay tuned to the airwaves? Did you see all the good stuff? Prof, you kind of get a whole pass here.
I saw some matches. I saw a couple of the skits. I saw the bow championship, ESL bow league, whatever.
Where they were shooting each other.
I thought that was great. I think the production was amazing. I love that.
I love the filler content between the main game, which is a 1v1 challenge. That was what I was tuning in for, Chad. Loved it.
Yeah, we need to bring back some more of that here.
That was great.
I want to get duels. I want to get duel servers because better than 1v1s. It's actual like heads up fights that people will be taking. Get that in the mix. Couldn't really work that out. Not really the most technologically savvy. But they evolved. They gave us a 1v1 setup. We had that available to us. There's been some fun stuff going on. We had Cadian joining the cast. Exertion was there. Frozen was getting involved in some stuff. I think Stown and Yabby sat in for a couple games. Guerri was there. So some more players offering up their time to chit chat about Counter-Strike. So overall, I guess this is more of the same of what we expect of Pro League now. Like we're not going to beat around the bush and say like group stage games of any near the same level of gravitas as arena games or playoff games or anything like that. But we do get to use some of these games as a measuring stick here. So just to quickly run through like the top to the bottom, and then we can pick and choose where we want to go here. It was actually a highly contested group, I thought. I thought this group was actually pretty equal as far as eking out those last couple of positions. Heroic were first in the group. MOUZ came second, FURIA third, and then actually picking up the 4th spot is Movistar Riders. So maybe we could start there with the Riders because like this is a team.
That doesn't make any sense, man.
Right,
like the way
considering how many struggles
the
they've
route
had.
that they took is crazy because they got completely demolished by Heroic, and you're like, yeah, okay, Movistar is just gonna get destroyed, right? Complexity and Big play a close game, then Big really surprise, almost take the game off Heroic, and then suddenly both Complexity and Big lose to Movistar on the way to the playoff spot. It's just very crazy. But I think, I mean, to me, Movistar just had kind of like key players stepping up at the right time, like Alex, who we don't necessarily expect to be there all the time, like at the top of the scoreboard. I think really overperformed in the deciding games that kind of like put them through, and I think that's what made the difference for them.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the team finding success again after such a drought, and considering you did have Complexity and Big also here who were unable to get across the line. I think there's some decent scalps for Movistar to take, and probably some confidence building scalps. It's hard to narrow down, exactly. I think SEO made a tweet about this actually that I strongly agree with. Let me see if I can find this here. SEO, for those people who aren't certain about SEO, he does some stats stuff for ESL. His name's Ben, and he does some good work. Ben's been around for quite some time. Where is it? I'll link this to you, Lucas. You can bring this up, and we'll see what you guys think of this before I give my opinion. Lucas, there it is, and for everybody else, if you want to have a look at it. So I'll read it out. Ben's tweet says, lots of people talk about the Sampaio/Martinez comparison, but I think that Sossel over Death's change is the biggest needle mover. If we're looking long-term at this lineup, feels like he's producing more, at least from the eye test. Does anybody else agree with that sentiment for Mr. Sossel? I think that, he's definitely contributing. He had his moments, had some decent moments, but it not like he blew me away or anything, but he definitely looked like he was contributing more than Deaths.
I feel like he was kind of like the difference maker when it comes to that, right? Like Martinez, Alex, Mopa was obviously the ones who were doing the heavy lifting overall. But when I go back to like watching them when they had deaths, like he was by far the weakest link for me. Like there are not many memorable moments for me. They were not like any crazy. He was it was a piece of that team, but like he was just playing his role, didn't really have anything memorable overall. I know it's been a while, but yeah, so also I think he had. There's so many rounds just watching, just watching the game, and you're like, okay, he's always in the midst of the action, right? He's pulling off something. Could be a crucial kill that opens up a part of the map or something. Very selfless, I might even say, the way he's approaching it. And yeah, I have to disagree. I feel like if it was Deaths playing instead of him, considering how close some of these games were, I could potentially see Movistar not make it out, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know. I think David G is still also pretty much a weak link, but I think upgrading either of those two was super necessary, and it's the only way to offset the Sampaio. I don't know if Martinez to Sampaio is not that. I don't know if I agree with that. That's not that big of a detail.
Oh, okay.
That big of a difference. Like I think Sampaio is like significantly better than Martinez.
Yeah,
he was just a massive difference maker pretty much in every game that Movistar won, right? And so that's not really the case with Martinez. Like he's just pretty consistent and he's just always there, but he doesn't seem like the same type of operator that Sampaio is, who is just going to go after the wins. Like he's that type of a guy who will just step up in the key moments.
I find like Davi's the type of guy who have a pretty good performance on Vertigo. Like that's historically where I see him doing some of his better work, and some of the other maps maybe not so much. But I don't know. I think this is the thing. This team, they can play comprehensive Counter-Strike if they win the key rounds that'll force you into an eco or like a force buy situation where you're going to be very weak on, and then they convert that force. Like I think they can eke out games, right? But I don't think they're the type of team that is going to consistently be able to topple some of these like top 15 gatekeeper teams, right? Which is kind of what Big and Complexity are at the moment, I guess, but on two different trajectories. Are we happy to shift off of Movi? Are you guys happy with where we? Okay, so let's say we shift. We can go to Complexity here because I'm saying Complexity and Big. I think coming into this, Complexity stock was okay. Is it on the rise? We need to have some performances that back up Katowice so that we can go, okay, yeah, well they're continuing to head in this right direction, and see steady improvement. I don't want to say that it's now trending downwards. I think maybe we've just plateaued here, like where we are right now. I think Floppy was definitely missing this time round. Whereas in some of the positions he plays, I can see why he might not have the most impact, but he's still a very key member of this team who I look to bring the numbers, right? I don't look at JT to win a 1-on-4 to keep them in a game that they're only going to eke out, right? That's not where I'm looking here. I'm looking at my Grims. Halzerk continued to find some of that form as well. So I don't know, where are you guys placing complexity after this? Is it now like where we've got a circling pattern, and if they fuck up the next event, then Kato was a fluke? Like where are we at with this?
I don't think it's a fluke necessarily. I feel they're just too, at least in Pro League, they seem very temperamental, right? Like, sure, you have like crazy moments and whatnot. Halsey was phenomenal, GT with the clutches and etc. And they did show a lot of composure in that game against Imperial to bring it back. I'll give them kudos there. But there are times when you're just looking at the body language of some of the players, and it's like, it just seems so off, so down. And then you start seeing some random individual plays coming out, some weird repositions, some weird retake attempts and whatnot. And it's just like, what are you guys doing? It's not like you don't know how to play this game. We've seen some really cool stuff from you guys. And then suddenly everything goes out the window. And then they have to face the repercussions of that, like, you know, just having a massive lead on the T side, on the CT side of Ancient, and then like completely dropping the ball there. I know, sure, Ancient meta shifted a little bit, but the fashion in which they lost some of those rounds was just mind-boggling, where they're not even putting up a challenge where they really should be, especially against the teams they were playing against, right? If it's against, let's say, a FaZe or a G2, yeah, I can see you kind of, you know, capitulating or just crumbling, but I feel it's a mental thing. I feel it's something they can easily sort out, so I'm not going to put them in a downtrend. I think the plateauing. Yeah.
You could be bang on there with like them being quite temperamental there, Bleh, because I think the 16-1 loss to Imperial says an awful lot. Like, they weren't even putting up a fight in that game in a lot of the rounds. They were just getting walked all over. So yeah,
you could tell that they were getting frustrated as the game progressed. Like, at some point, you know, some teams will just say, "Fuck it," like, we're just like, this is just not our game. But they just kept getting frustrated as that game went along, you know, and that just didn't really work out.
But the really cool thing is they did still bring it back in that series and close it out, right? In OT and whatnot. So again, we've seen two very different teams here. Map 1, absolute garbage, and then map 2 and 3. Sure, it got messy. There's some weird plays here and there, but they had the composure to close it out, especially against Fallen, you know, calling on the other side with experience they've got and still able to, you know, kind of exercise their demons of the last rematch they had. So you can see they have it. You just need to see a little bit more from them when it comes to some of these rough moments.
I feel like also, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that there's also kind of a consideration for their travel schedule and all that stuff, because they kind of like went back and forth from Katowice to do the qualifiers for the RMR and then back to Europe. And so obviously when a team does this, like, they're not going to be like at 100% at the end of this trip, you know? So I think that could have played a part of it. And to be honest, like, yeah, I think the Movistar loss is the one that I'm the most baffled by, because I think that game, I don't think they even had much of a chance, because Big, we just know that Big
was close twice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, it was two very close series. And like, Big is just that type of a team that will be able to take like whoever, you know, to close games sometimes, and Complexity are just like around the same level, I would say. So those two games, I think, weren't super big of a surprise. But like the Movistar game that they lost, that really stuck out to me. And even, to be honest, even the Imperial one, like, they should have lost that. Like, GT had no business winning that 1v4. Like, the Imperial kind of gave that away, and they should have just like went out in last place.
Yeah,
and
they gave away a lot of
another
rounds.
chance against Big. So
there's a lot of rounds where they just kept peaking, man.
Yeah,
there's a lot of peaking.
Yeah, but for Imperial, you could tell that they are still they're very fresh off changes and just not really drilled in.
Yeah, I mean, just circling back to what you said at the beginning, is like, are they on the downturn, or did they plateau? I don't think you can say this is a plateau. Like, they finished top 8 in Katowice, and now they're like top 21 in Pro League, which is, you know, a less important tournament. So it's definitely a much worse performance. But with what Striker said, it does make sense. There are some circumstances that kind of justify it and make us think like, okay, maybe this is the red blip on the radar, whatever. That doesn't mean anything, but doesn't matter. But they could like turn it back, especially like going towards the RMR, which is should be much easier, and then qualify for the majors. They can ramp up again, because there is some talk about them playing like 100 hours in 2 weeks, and that's not really a sustainable thing, especially if you're traveling back to NA to play the qualifier, back to Europe, all of these things. So obviously their performance is going to go down a bit, but maybe they take a short break and then go into the RMR like refreshed, and towards the majors they can do something again. I don't know. Going into this, I did tell Maniac he asked for some tips for the fantasy thing. I was like, don't pick Complexity players. No way that they can continue riding this wave for so long. It's not really it's not really sustainable. But Halzark did individually great, so that's at least a good sign.
I think it's a good lesson because actually looking at the stats, it was pretty rough for Grim as well, right? And if Grim and Floppy are both having a rough time, then yeah, there were some of your biggest outputs going to come through. But I think you raise a really good point here. So if you are getting burnt out by the amount of matches and whatever that's happening in a row, like I still think their approach on the macro, like the way that they're approaching the game is good. But for the individual players, you need to be confident in your moves, and you need to add new moves all the time now, right? Like I think that's like that, like. It goes unspoken about a lot here. Maybe we need to start focusing in a bit more on what individuals do on a round-to-round basis. But these guys are getting counter-stratted a lot, right? Because there's a lot of demo watching. And when I say these guys, I don't mean complexity. I mean every Counter-Strike team in the world. There's a lot of people looking in. And to come up with new moves, like one of the things, and everybody who's played Counter-Strike before knows when you seem to be the one initiating a play, you always feel a bit more confident in it, right? Like, you know where your flash is going to land, you know what swing you're looking for, you know what type of gimmick. Exactly.
Versus reactive.
And if you're playing so much Counter-Strike, it can be hard to... I think it's a good lesson. I think it's a good lesson for complexity and probably a few things, right? So hopefully they can pick up here and not think, okay, well, we're fucked now. Like the big games were close series, and big, I think, look like they're on the rise right now. We can even shift the conversation if people are ready.
Just one more thing I wanted to say. I think that the Halzark performance was a good sign just because of... I think you guys even talked about it on the broadcast that like he was making some moves in Katowice that like once people catch on to that, like he will have a much harder time doing that. You know, like he will just there will be a lot of tells in terms of what he does, but like he still kept up his performance. He wasn't such a massive carry as he was in Kato, but like
Dude,
he had a couple of maps.
Game
against Big that was a big one, yeah. But outside of that, I don't think he had such big carry performances. But still, you know, he had some of those maps and still was able to pull off some of the same moves, you know, that he did before, even though there's been a lot more focus on him after Katowice. So I think that's a good sign.
I'm just remembering getting flashbacks of that Vertigo game with him on the CT side with the AWP and even the T side, just the amount of impact he was getting in rounds with the AWP. And it's like, normally we talk about some of the better AWPers in the world struggling on a map like Vertigo. He just looked like he was in his element. Like he was so confident in all the fights. Everything was fucking hitting. That Vertigo game, it did go overtime. It was the second time they faced big 19-17 complexity victory here, 11-4, 11-4 on the CT halves. But his rating, 1.85 rating, he went 44 for 22 deaths. Jesus. He just was fucking mauling, dude. It was insane.
It was like, unplayable, honestly.
I think it's a game that people, if they want to see like AWP finding impact on Vertigo, I'd go back and I'd watch that. And that was a fun watch. All right. I want to jump into big here if everyone's ready. Yep. Any objections? No objections. Okay. So big, I've put a nice little, we didn't have one for them. We're hyped for big. So I think there's a couple of key factors that stood out to me. One was obviously hyped. I think that he looks pretty good for someone who's fresh to this level. I know that he's had a bit of time there already. It's not like his first showing with the main roster. I think Crimbo, other than sometimes Crimbo's mechanics remind me of me, you know, it's like, fuck, he should probably have hit that one. I think Crimbo's really showing to be a smart player. I think he's shown to be like a really good player for this roster, but I don't know what to think, right? At the moment, if Keto finding more firepower in moments, Crimbo was, I think, the highest rated player for big. Hype looked happy to take some more risks. If the overall mood in the team is better, great, but they still need to find, I don't want to say star level impact. No, maybe I do. I feel like they still need star level impact out of Tabson.
Yeah, he didn't play it that well, right? This
was
like
lowest rated
I didn't
player
catch Big's game, so I'm gonna just ask questions and not. But like, why do you think that was? Was there anything like a tell as to why?
It wasn't like the Tabson of old. Like it wasn't like the one that we remember. You know, like just being able to stop plays on his own. I think that like it was. I think the big stuff was spotty, but there was enough things that were spotty for me to start assembling a picture of a team that I think could be pretty cool to watch. Right, like Keto can have these really big impact rounds, and then he can have nothing. You know, these rounds where he has a deagle and he gets these two massive kills, or he has the AK, gets a couple big kills. So I don't know, the pieces there as a like Faven has never really felt like he's played well in big. I can't tell if he has ever played well in big.
I think you're right.
I think that's the one. In the like at the super early, I don't think he was like blowing people away, but I noticed just watching him as like the safe pair of hands kind of player.
There's too many of those there. Not in fucking star.
Not in terms of like inters, but more like he's more like maybe. I don't know who to compare him. I almost said JKS, but now JKS is
I
so
literally
good.
had the same mind.
JKS is really good now. Then people are gonna think like he's just like he gets his like 1.5 kills on average when he was anchoring B on Vertigo, right? And I was like, oh, this is nice. He doesn't use a lot of not energy, utility from the team. He was just like left there alone and he would do his job. But as things like proceeded, he was just dropping off definitely for me.
I feel like Fabn is the one guy I've got to touch upon, right? Because if you go back, I think 2021 when he got picked up by Sprout, if you looked at his numbers with Sprout, it was like an average of 1.2 rating at every event he was playing. But that's, again, you look at opposition he had, right? It's most of his online cups, challenger events and whatnot. And then ever since he moved on to Big, so we've almost kind of forgotten it, but like he is the one guy we always look to kind of be maybe not the star, but like the secondary star, the third solid part, a trio of for Big, and he has just been very, very quiet. Now you have tabseN struggling as well, individually speaking. So now you have Hyped and Crimbo and Keto being, well, basically Schrodinger's cat, where you don't know who's going to be showing up. So I think that's the variable for Big. I like what they're bringing to the table. Even the final map they had against Movistar, I just felt like fatigue was just kicking in. Like they was just so depleted after a long day of Counter-Strike. So I didn't want to read too much into that final map either. I like what I'm seeing, but that consistency has to be found in either tabseN, which we know he can, Keto, who's been too flip-floppy for me to have too much of faith in being consistent, and Fabn. And I want to put that responsibility on Fabn. But I haven't really seen much from him for me to really have faith either.
I think it's interesting at the moment because when you're filling the void of some, I know this is Hyped filling the void, but when the team is now filling a void of not having Sirius in there, and there's like comments being made, like Cadian when he came and sat on the couch with us was making comments about, maybe things are going to be better with Hyped, right? I think that this could be a chance for Big to find a new identity. I don't expect, and this is why when I see things that are kind of positive from the matches at Pro League, I go, okay, the future could be cool, right? The future for this team could be cool if these parts can all mature and maybe there's a better mood in the team. I don't know, right? All that speculation. It's all, but it's a massive blow to lose syrsoN. But if the team can have threatening games and they flex their map pool here, they played at Overpass. Even though it's a map that they don't traditionally like playing because they knew they could beat Saw on it. Like Godby essentially just said that in the interviews after. It's like, yeah, like our Overpass is bad, but we know that it's still good enough to beat a team like Saw on Overpass was essentially like the point he was making. Yeah. Which sounds worse when I say it, but I think that's pretty much what he was saying. So yeah, I look at it all and I sit here and I go, there's promise for Big in the future. It's still too early. The jury's still out. I think if they had clinched the spot for the playoffs, it could have meant a lot for like the early confidence for this team. Now they're kind of still out there just treading water. So
I have two questions. If you first is just like for people that haven't paid that much attention to Hyped, what would you compare him to? What kind of opper is he? Like, is there an example of a different player that is more known that you could say?
I will just say he's happy to take a risk.
I mean,
okay.
He's happy to jump through a smoke with a Glock in hand if he has to. You saw Ancient, you saw that one, right? Yeah, that was something.
Bro,
no,
he of course he gets the jump shot, but like that was so risky.
Someone said he's like old Henny in chat.
Oh, I was gonna say Torji from like early on, like when he was still kind of like hitting shots.
That's
kind of good. I guess
that's not a great comparison, knowing that like how like Torji's form went like.
Yeah.
He's just very active. He's making a lot of moves, and it's making their opponents have to like. There's obviously he's not a very experienced player, right? So he's taking a lot of risks, and whether that's because he's not experienced at playing like and what to expect of the top tier, and he's just making these moves that look risky, or he's happy to kind of go and bend the norm. But I think that type of like he's not just going to sit back and sell his team down the river. He's going to try and contribute to try and win the round, right?
He's the opposite of James, basically.
Yeah,
it's curious in the context of how Big play in general and how strict they tend to be with their protocols and all that stuff. Like it's very interesting to see that this type of an opper enter this team, and I wonder how much that's going to stay, knowing how tabseN and Godby view the game, and they're like very like you have to be in this, like you kind of have to be in line, basically, and that's always been the case with pretty much every player that they got in. Everybody was kind of like, okay, I have to get used to how these guys want to play Counter-Strike, and Hyped is not really that. So I'm curious if that's because they told him to just be himself and like, okay, like to just get used to this level and just be comfortable. And then, you know, as time goes along, they will just kind of like give him pointers as to like what of those moves don't work or what of those moves they want from him and stuff like that. I am curious how it's going to develop moving forward in terms of his playstyle in that sense.
We want to jump around here a bit, boys.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
wanted
go for it.
one more question.
Oh yeah, 2 questions. I'm sorry.
He has
Carl.
a second question. It's Sickos5 in chat. He's asking. He demands an answer.
Okay.
Why was Big robbed by the bracket? Why did they have no
he's
advantage?
asking about the format.
Why?
Yeah, this is an interesting one here. So let's bring it up so we can all talk about this, because I think this is probably one of the biggest gripes that people are having with the format here at the moment. Lucas, here's the bracket. You can bring that up. I'll link it for everyone in case you guys don't have it. Let's use the Group B as an example here, Lucas. That's fine. Use the Group B last chance stage, and that'll be our example here for how we have a discussion with this. So. As we get down to the I can explain how this kind of works. So it's essentially triple elimination if you guys haven't been keeping up with the format here. But once you get down into this last chance stage, so you can see Imperial lost to SAW and Complexity lost to Movistar Riders. Well, they dropped down to the 8th place decider. So the team to be eliminated first, essentially, which then means that the losers of the lower semifinals, which was Movistar and SAW, drop down, but they don't drop down in the same place as the Complexity Imperial matchup. They actually drop down one ahead of it, which kind of inserts this weird conundrum. Because when Big lost to FURIA in the lower final, which is a series ahead of the where Movi and SAW lost, they dropped down into the same place as where Movi and SAW are.
Essentially, Big beat SAW and then lost to FURIA and then was at the same spot as SAW.
So what would the best solution here be?
I mean, the most obvious solution would be to have like that Complexity Imperial as an 8th play decider, right? The winner of that plays like after that you play the Movistar Riders and SAW game.
Yeah.
And the winner of that plays Complexity, right?
But then the same argument is to be made, but just in a different position in the bracket, right? Because Imperial lost to SAW and Complexity lost to Movi.
But at the same time, at least you have Big winning 2 matches and like getting an advantage for that, you know, while the other teams just dropped to the lower bracket after just 1 win, you know.
No,
or
I agree,
even 0
but
wins,
but it's fucked either way. It's just picking which one is less fucked, because it's both ways suck.
Should just win their games, honestly.
That is the simplest solution.
Kind of a hot take here, but maybe just don't lose to like kind of bad teams.
I feel that there has to be a different way to do this.
I feel like the fact that Big were playing against FURIA, I mean, they went the deepest in the upper bracket, and then they had to play 2 best-of-3s in the final day.
Yes, that happened as well, right? So
that one in particular, for me, I'm kind of okay with this because, like you said, there's no like clear-cut better option. But the fact that the guys who did better had to on paper play 2 best-of-3s in the day, I think that was a little rough.
Well, I feel like maybe there could be some things that change. Like FURIA plays against the loser of, let's say that, I don't know, I'd have to map this out. But if Heroic beat MOUZ, yeah, cool. But I feel like just because FURIA and, well, I guess FURIA is the main example here, lost their opening game, that completely excludes them from coming top 2 in the group. Like, I'm sure there's another way we could open up a dynamic in the standard bracket that would help affect the last chance bracket. I would need to get my pen and my pad out, and I would need to have a little bit of a scribble and an idea. But I feel like we could have something enabled there, because what we're talking about essentially, and this is the problem with this format, is the teams okay, let me rephrase. The teams less people care about, have smaller fan bases, are the ones who are playing in the peak slots. Like we had more games. We had Movi SAW, but I guess that's it because it's triple elimination. So that's just the nature of the beast here. Yeah. But Movi SAW was the Saturday night fucking primetime slot match. And I'm sure for Iberia, that was fucking great.
The Iberian matchup, the derby.
But it's just like, I don't know. Maybe there isn't. Maybe this is just.
I mean, in terms of where
it's
it's like time slots and how many matches mobile, like you just can't play through triple elimination if you don't want the worst teams to play more matches. Like that's just as simple as that.
Yeah.
Like you can't do that if you want to have the best teams on stream as much as possible. Like that just can't happen. But then you can't have the best teams on stream as much as possible unless you play round robin, which guarantees a number of games, and you have like a predictable schedule and like predictable teams that will be on matches. That is exactly the problem that we had with round robin, though, right? Because like there were just useless matches at that time. But now we have less of the interesting matches, let's say.
But this is why for the round robin, this is why I was hoping they would do regular conference into round robin as we had it in the previous season, because I think for the type of broadcast that we're doing, it's perfect. You get to see everybody play a set amount of times. You get to see into their playbook. You get to do content around all those matches, and you're seeing people on a regular basis.
It feels more like a league for sure, like in terms of what Pro League has been, right? But
yeah, I mean, but we never did it properly.
Yeah,
we never got to do the conference into the group stage,
right?
And then we just went straight to this format. And this format has its own problems as well. And I know people don't like round robin, but that's why
I was just gonna say, like, it's just funny that like we've gone full circle, man. Like I've been fucking I've been anti round robin for the longest fucking
and now
time,
he wants it back.
I don't know. I wouldn't say that I want it back. I just think that I understand why that was like a good format to run from the tournament perspective. I understand that, like, in terms of, I don't like it in terms of competition and what it brings, because it just creates useless matches that mean nothing, and you know, like, what's the point of playing them in the first place? And it also depends on when you play those matches and how important they are, like when you face the different teams. Just from an integrity and like a competitive standpoint, it's just not a good format. But I understand it from kind of like a broadcasting and entertainment perspective for sure. So like from that, I just don't know what's the solution for a tournament like Pro League.
This is how I think we can incentivize things differently.
Honestly,
right?
what is the solution? This is fine. Stop complaining. No one cares. That's it.
Do you reckon?
It's really fine. Like, you get 3 chances. Oh my God, my third chance is not really optimized compared to someone else's third chance. Like, you have maybe just use the first 2 chances. Maybe just do that.
I like that attitude.
I
like that.
I do understand that, yeah, as well. I think it's just like, it can't
just
be
wants round robin back. Striker just wants round robin back, just so you can farm more impressions.
The lack of impressions is hitting.
Yeah, lack of impressions hurting you, though, Striker. Yeah, you're
post round robin depression.
Just hear me out for a second.
Best month for some reason, like last month for no reason. I don't know.
Hear me out for a second, right? What if, let's just say, we lived in a round robin world, right? Just live there, right? And we actually incentivized winning per match by certain margins. So we did like, if we had it so that you beat a team 16-5 or better, you get like a winning bonus, right? Because we have problems with slow matches and matches taking a long period of time. If it's a sizable amount of money, if a match is won like 16-5 or better, like, or in a series, I don't know, you have to keep them to fucking 10 rounds or less over the course of a series. I don't know. I'm just throwing shit out there. You get a sizable bonus. Let's say you get like 25K. That's 5K per player in the team for the win. Right? Like, what if we incentivized
like, that's a lot of money thrown in just for like, you know,
but we just changed
matches.
We obviously just changed the framing, right? Like, and then once you get to the playoffs, like the prize money is just super top heavy. But if you win all 5 games in your group stage, right? If there's 6 teams, you win 5 games, you win 25K times 5.
The problem is that like incentivizing teams by just money has never really worked. Even like, of course, like it's never been done to like a massive degree where like it's actually money that matters. But at the same time, if you make it to too much of a massive degree, that's going to take away from the playoffs and how much it means there. And so like it's just not a good way to incentivize teams. Like, they just won't care if it's not a competitive advantage.
Unfortunately, yeah, people don't care about money. Just look at the Blast Global Final. No one thought that was a bigger event than like the fall final, even though it had like 4 times the prize pool. No one cared. I mean, people cared because it was an event, but it's not a more prestigious event than the Copenhagen
people
one.
Care about the legacy of an event and what it means to win it, and the type of the crowd, and what teams won it before.
Yeah, I don't know. G2 won like 300K for the first place, and I don't know, Heroic won 100K for their first place. No one thought like G2's win was bigger. Honestly, I think everyone thinks Heroic's win was more significant than the G2
I'd agree.
one.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't make a difference.
All right, fuck it. Let's not talk about then. Let's talk about FURIA. Then let's oh,
what happened?
Why don't we want to talk about FURIA?
Did you hear Bleh's reaction to that?
Why don't you like FURIA, Bleh?
I love FURIA, chat. I fucking love FURIA. That's my fucking problem. I love them. I love the fact that they have K Serato.
They still made it to the playoffs, though. They're in the playoffs.
Let's just do it more convincingly for a change, right? Stop shitting the bed when you don't have to. And Art, like, the most frustrating thing about Art is like you speak to him and he knows the game. He understands what what works, what clicks, right? And then you see suddenly a different FURIA, and you're like, oh, this looks good. They're not taking unnecessary risks. And then the very next, not forget the next game, the next map, they throw everything out the window. It's back to square one, or just running in like a fucking lunatic. Even Apex has stopped doing that, right? Even Apex is playing a little bit more safe, a little bit more smart. And then it becomes a liability, and then everything goes to shit. And I want this team to really have deep runs, be a proper contender consistently. And sure, they have their moments, but just as inconsistency over the past, 2-3 years, it's getting frustrating right now.
But I think that's the thing. Like, this is the same with the EG situation. I understand these things. They exist, right? Whether I agree with them or not, that's a different conversation. Now, the thing is, with the way that they approach the game, if every single player is playing like their highest or a very high level of Counter-Strike on FURIA, their play style, right, because of that nature, can work, and they can push teams, and they can go deep in tournaments. They can make playoffs. However, can they do that consistently? No, because it's to live or die by your players being at close to 100% every time they get in the server. I don't think the playstyle they have is a consistent playstyle. I don't think it's going to produce them consistent results, but that's where I think they're at. So, like, that's this team. So unless anything inherently changed was with the way they approach the game, I'll have to go into an event respecting the fact they can be a dark horse, and I will also have to go into the event knowing that these rounds can come back to bite them in the ass, and they can lose against teams that they should be beating. So, like, that's just where I'm at with FURIA. Like, the problem is this, and this is the bigger problem, is there are so many good potential teams that you could make if you built a Brazilian dream team, that you are potentially wasting the prime right now of Quesarado, who is an absolute fucking monster. He topped the group. He, without a doubt, is just that fucking beast. Right, that's where you can start to take issue with it. But so it's like, do I want Brazilian Counter-Strike to be fucking owning, and could they make a much better team? Yes, but is FURIA the one we've got right now, and they're still the best Brazilian team? Yes.
Yeah.
It's just like, that's just the way it is. Just the way it is. Do-do-do.
Next one. Well.
Do-do-do.
Well.
Never gonna be the same. No. That's just the way. Okay, fair enough. Prof,
right.
What's the N1 moment here this evening?
I used it at the beginning.
Oh,
wait, did you miss that?
Yeah.
So your vacuuming thing was just random.
Yeah.
What? No way. It was just random.
Yeah. I was like, what would be a funny bit to start when I get on?
Wow.
Can you show it? Look at
N1 moment.
You gotta bring it back. You gotta bring it back.
Look at the N1 moment. Here you go.
That was N1 moment.
Oh, okay. I see now. What brand is it?
I can't say if they don't.
I said it. Fuck it. I'll say it.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. I want to buy a Dyson.
It banks, man. It's amazing.
It's amazing.
All right. Well, we've already done the N1 moment. Don't worry about that. Okay, cool. I'm up to date, and I know about the vacuums now. All right. Does anyone want to talk about MOUZ or Heroic quickly? Not really.
I think I'm happy for MOUZ. I just want to point out, like, the Katowice failure was a bit of a stumble, and I believe in them. I'm like, listen, I've seen really good stuff from MOUZ ever since Cologne last year, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they had a Cologne run right from the lower bracket. Ever since then, they've been good. They've been solid. Sure, they had some ups and downs, but the variation has been quite less. Katowice was a stumble. They showed it in Pro League. They looked fantastic. Sure, weren't able to quite close out against Heroic, but MOUZ are back to what I expect them to be, and I'm happy with that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I think they should be a team to keep our eyes on here, especially in the first half. All right. Group C. Group C starting tomorrow, everybody. 4 p.m. CET. Who are we at ST again? CET. FaZe Rooster and Pain NIP. Those are the two opening games. And then later in the day, we have OG00 Nation and we have Greyhound versus Vitality. This is a bit of stand-in mania for the Group C week. Vitality obviously have Jax instead of Dupree. 00 Nation have Next instead of Taco.
Oh damn, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I asked how to pronounce his name today. So the 9 in his name is just an E. So it's just Next.
So it's like
Nexts. Yeah, kind of like, yeah. You have Neck is in for PKL. We don't really know exactly what's going on with that situation, do we? Do we know? Did anyone have a...
There was some personal stuff like that they were talking about with PKL. That's why he went back. So I don't know what it is exactly, but that's what they said.
And of course, Nico standing in for Nexa while he's out as well. So you could make an argument that at least 50% of the group have stand-ins, and then you could maybe argue a little bit more with the whole Pain situation. So yeah, you find yourself in a group where FaZe are the front runners. They're the only team that I would confidently say should be locking in a spot here. The rest of this is up for hot debate. Hot debate here, gentlemen.
I'd be very surprised if NIP don't make it through. Very, very surprised.
Yep. Same.
Because they're the one team, like, I know they have the conflict situation, but it's now going to be playing for the rest of the season, so they've been putting in the work. It's not really as a stand-in. This is an actual lineup. Hetrick look good. The pieces seems to be kind of falling in place. Conflict's still a question mark, but at least, he's still not a complete liability in the team. And then you have Vitality without Dupree. But, yeah, like you said, FaZe and NIP right now are the two big top runners. So if NIP shit the bed, I'm going to be extremely disappointed.
The problem here is Bleh, they're in the same. They're in the same half of the bracket, so the two of them can't go through groups 1 and 2.
Yeah,
so,
they can't make.
Yeah, fair.
Unfortunately, yeah, they can't make really top 2. We
Be
can't.
Okay, maybe not top 2, but top 3 for sure.
Yeah,
it has to be.
I agree.
Because who's there? Like Greyhound, Double O Nation, Pain.
I mean, OG,
and OG without an IGL.
Right?
I mean, NIP should be beating these teams and Rooster.
Yep.
No, I agree. I agree here. I think whoever, I'm hoping Vitality are still able to get the business done with Jax in the server and just,
I think they can.
Just get through their 2 opening matches against a limping OG, a 0-0 Nation with a stand-in, essentially, and Greyhound, who've probably only been back in Europe for a couple of days and are probably still jet-lagged on Australian time, right? Like, I'm hoping Vitality just strolls through this. FaZe and Vitality locked in for the playoffs, and then we see what happens with Vitality in the future. I don't even know. This is the problem I have with this stuff. The next team that I want to invest in the next most is Rooster, just to see if there's anybody, right, who's not part of Greyhound who can get it done.
I hated them, chat.
I don't even know who they fucking are. If you put them in a lineup,
they don't even have pictures.
I know Chelios. Isn't that Chef Chelios?
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah, but that's him. Yeah.
But put him out on the street, mate. I couldn't tell you. I had no idea who they were. They could just be anybody walking around. I've got no idea what any of them look like. So this is what I'm saying. The next thing I'm excited about is Rooster, because I know they're different to everybody. I know, like Dexter says, that they shit talk them in pugs. I know that, I've heard that they don't all necessarily have the best reputation. But
like
maybe
the Timbermen of Australia, but
maybe they can frag, and I only give a fuck about that. If they can come in here and frag, like Chelios is a name that's been kicking around for some time now,
quite a long time actually.
Yeah, I'm excited to see, and they've been practicing in Europe for about two weeks. I don't really expect them to do anything against FaZe, but they get a triple elimination attempt here, and it's all best of 3s. I'm just looking for anything, any signs of life. Just somebody looking like they can put the crosshair in the right direction.
I mean, if it plays out the way we expect, where Pain gets beaten by NIP and FaZe obviously beat Rooster, they're going to be potentially playing against Pain.
What about
beat Pain? I don't think so, man.
I don't know. I haven't seen them play at this level, right? I have no idea. Yeah. But Cadian did tell a story.
Okay.
When he said that when they were going up against MOUZ, like they both permabanned Anubis. Yeah. So he said they took a practice against Rooster. Because they're Australian and they played Anubis without knowing any utility or their approach to the map, owned them. And his thought process was that information from Rooster would get to Dexter. But I don't think Dexter likes the Rooster guys, so that would never have happened.
Maybe it's a 300 IQ play. Dexter's like, I hate them, but inside he's like, he's got a group chat going with Chelios and everyone in that team. You never know. He's a smart man.
What about Rooster versus EG?
Rooster.
We haven't even seen them play.
I'm kidding. I think EG still beats them.
I literally don't know how these people look. This is how little we know.
But I still feel EG beats them. I've watched a few Rooster games, and in all honesty, even though the OC region right now, they're really struggling, right? You have Greyhound. There's been a lot of changes here and there.
Right now,
it's pretty fucked.
Economically, it's very fucked. It's like it's far away. It's been isolated a lot, especially because of COVID.
It's just gotten worse and worse, which is sad. But at the same, and there's a caveat, right? That there's no real stiff competition like we had, when you had like Greyhound, you had Olga and all these guys, like proper orgs, really functioning. These guys are qualifying all the time. But credit where it's due, they have been challenging a lot of these teams. They have qualified for this event and whatnot, right? And they're not exactly a full-fledged org either, like how we had Greyhound or Order. So I'll give them that. They can at least play the game to a decent level.
This is the thing I like, right? And this is kind of the same thought I had with the LFO team. But there's a complete difference here with this Rooster team. They're not attached to any of the old guys, right? Like LFO was still attached to Apoka and however they did business. This team, they're not attached to anybody. If anything, they probably think like, fuck everybody. So I'm interested to see what these 5 new brains, because this is essentially what it is.
Do you think
the next IHC?
I was just going to say, what have they been able to download in the 2 weeks they've been here in their approach to the game, right? How do they see Counter-Strike? Are they seeing it in their own way? Because I have no expectation, which means I'm not going to be disappointed no matter what they do. They could get 16-0'd every game, but they could push some teams. They don't even have to win a game. All I'm doing here is looking to, because any name that gets an opportunity from a small region that goes overseas, if there's players who have glimpses, they have a couple of good rounds, they have a couple of good ideas, they make and execute work, you can see promise. That's all we're looking for here. We're not looking for anything else. We're just looking for promise.
Do that 1v5 G2 on Vertigo.
Starry?
Yeah.
Yeah, he retired RPK. No, wait, that wasn't that Vitality?
No, that was 9Z. Yeah.
Oh yeah, fucking hell.
That was the guy. What's his name? Fucking try. Vibes. Do you think you would get some of them to like cast some games? I think it would be amazing.
I just want to talk to them. I've never spoken to any of them before. Like I said, I don't even know what they look like. So we'll see. We can have a chat.
Even like proper interviews we can really find, like, podcasts.
I think there's
going
to be one coming up.
Yeah, there's going to be. There's
I got wind of something like that.
Yeah.
The question that was asked to me was, do I know anything about them? I had to reply with, no, I don't. So that's kind of where it got left.
Lucas was
great insight from the resident Australian expert. Maybe
I don't know what
as the Asian expert next.
I'm not there, right? It's like I can't vouch for how things are going down under. Okay, is there anything else we want to talk about from this group? We are going to bring our fantasy up here. NIP, we spoke about them.
Yeah.
I think, I just want to see where NIP are at.
Can they do something finally? Like, they haven't won a game in Europe in like
I said that today. I saw Vex. I was doing the lobby stuff, and I was like, all right, boys, you're back again. What's the excuse this time? Right? It's because it's like, we got to get something going eventually. Yeah. So, like, they've got to win a series. Like, give us something.
They looked rough last time.
They can't even play each other until like the lower final, so it's not gonna
Katowice was
The Katowice was rough, dude. Like, just watching the games, it was like they did get a map win over
MIBR, and then they got fucking dumpstered on Vertigo the next game, and they just completely disappeared.
We can go to playtime. Like, not much.
What about the fantasy? You don't want to see what the fantasy's at?
Here. Yeah, I thought that was in playtime. Never mind.
All right, let's check in on the fantasy for everybody playing at home. So, Lucas, you can bring up the celebrity leaderboard. Do you know how to get there? I can link it. It's all right, man. Oh, I fucking left TeamSpeak on the other computer. You can get it, man. Okay, so right now, the fantasy leaderboard for everybody playing at home. Launders is at the top of the leaderboard currently. 7 games played, 69 points.
Coming in pretty high even in the global one.
Yeah, coming in second place, hotly contested. Prof, he's at 61 points. 8 the difference here between him and the leader.
I was scammed. What is it's like Group A? I was top 2%, and I literally like a few spots off top 1%. And that's a 7-point difference. So
damn, would have been a 1-point game.
Yeah,
bro, didn't you get like 2 25-pointers before though? Like, fuck off.
No, I have 125, 118 points.
Jesus Christ.
And then coming in at third place, Pitu. He's from Spain. He made a team 1 week that said it was going to own my team. He currently is beating me. He's ahead of me directly. So I hope he's happy about that. Flom, myself, and Maniac all tied on 49 points.
Yeah. Vo is there. Where's Mr. Pixel? Oh.
He's way down.
Oh, still not there? Oh. Still not
where is he?
Still not playing games? Oh,
Does he not
3 out of 7 total.
He's played 3 out of 7.
But Stunner has points this time round. He's done better than last time round.
Yeah.
Striker 36 points. Blair 23 points.
It's been rough, man. It's been rough for me this season. It's fucking shit.
Moses 14 points.
Ball fraud.
Wow. So,
and he played all 7 games as well. Like, he's played all of them. And Harry has more points than Moses and me.
Moses
as well,
got a
5
kid.
played.
He has the kid excuse.
It's fucking bullshit.
What's your excuse?
That's not an excuse.
You have a lot of kids around the world. Is that
good, dude? It's heavy bid. Oh, you have Striker ready? Okay, yeah. Show strikers. So strikers.
I have to
team.
say that it's not 100% locked in. I'm still kind of considering, but it is kind of like my early draft. I even had originally I had Hat-Trick instead of Magisk, but then I was like, they're on the same side of the bracket. I want 4 players from the same side of the bracket. So I ended up switching Hat-Trick for Magisk, who are like kind of similar price.
But you don't have an Olga.
No, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, I'm still kind of. I'm still thinking about switching out twists for Brokey, just for that reason, essentially, just to have an Opera and still have like 4 players from like the 2 best teams that I think will make it to the final.
I think Like, because you have twists, you kind of cheat on the booster side, on the roll side, because you get the headshot machine.
But he's actually like, from the stats, he's actually not getting the big
He's been
boosters
trailing off in
lots. So I think it's like, I don't know. I actually haven't seen into like why his stats in the headshot machine thing didn't match up to like, let's say, a few months ago.
You still have an AWPA. I don't really care about anything else. Get an AWPA.
I think I might switch out twists for Brokey because I have the money extra, which is like 3,000 difference or something. So I might do that. I'm not sure 100% yet. I'm still have to figure out if these roles even make perfect sense.
Okay, you got anyone else's team
like,
there, Lucas, or you need the link?
I didn't make mine yet.
I haven't got mine yet either. I'm still debating.
Hold up, Lucas. I'm coming back. Oh, let me link you. Here you go, man. Here's mine. Here we go. Bless still working his out. Prof still working his out. I've just linked Lucas my team.
Did you go with zAAz?
There's Rez. That's like seems exciting to me to some degree for the IP side.
Here's my team. I've got I went Twist and Brokey. I went real heavy on FaZe, right? Because I expect them just to smash.
Yeah.
Right. And then I've gone Spinks because, well, it's fucking Spinks, right? If Vitality aren't winning unless he's delivering. And then my two X Factor picks are Alexi and Config. Right? It's always a risk.
That is a big risk, yeah.
It's always a risk, but you never know. You never know.
Config, man, like you look at the price, you're like, it's Config, you know, the berserker, but he has ruined me a couple of times already.
He only needs to have every second tournament good. So if this one can be good, that's fine. He doesn't need to be good every tournament, just the next one. And I just need Alexi just to break even for me.
I like the
just come home, bring me 1 or 2 points, literally just 1 or 2. I don't want to lose anything. I also don't want to gain anything. Just want to get through this. I want to get through this alive.
Pretty
going to be rough.
Pretty strong team.
Okay. Playtime?
Yeah, we can do that.
All right, let's do it. Lucas, roll the bumper. Maybe we'll see if there's any questions. All right, we don't often get here, but we've made it this evening. All right, well, Prof, I guess we're going to have to ask people in Twitch chat. You have a question?
I mean, I don't have I have a question from viewers.
Oh, okay. I thought you had a question.
I will dub it the question of the week for this week.
All right.
And I'll invite you, fellow panelists, CS connoisseurs, and just intellectuals in general to answer this question. I feel like Stana. I feel like this is Stana's hosting right now.
Okay.
Stana is leaking into me. However you want to interpret that.
Wow.
I'm not sure you want that.
Stana is leaking into me.
It's not even.
Jesus.
It's not even past 10 p.m. man. Fuck.
I mean, it is somewhere else in
not
the
even
world.
past the watershed.
It's 2:30 a.m. Prof, I'm not ready for this.
There we go. Sleepy Smith on Twitter asks, which teams rely too much on one certain aspect, meta, or trait of the game, and will they suffer? And will suffer if that thing is heavily overhauled or broken.
Oh,
that's
the change.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's say there's like one update to a thing, and
there's such a fucking obvious answer to that question.
I also have one.
Why? What would you say?
Outsiders.
Yeah.
In terms of the pace.
Because the savings got to be adjusted at some point by Valve. Like, there's no way that it won't be at some point. Like some sort of an economic change is going to happen with that. I think maybe not super soon, but I think eventually it will happen that they will realize that this mechanic is making games too slow sometimes, and it's just slowing down games. And I'm sure that that's not what they want necessarily.
Not if we incentivize win Striker by putting a price tag on winning 16-5 or better. Everyone thought it was a terrible idea.
That is a very obvious answer to that question. I think they are very heavily reliant on that, on being able to like put up guns every round and stuff like that, and just their slow pace. And if that gets de-incentivized, then obviously that they will have to really rethink their play style, right?
Yeah, I guess it really depends on because you could think anything right now, and I guess this question is how big is the imagination on what Source 2 is going to bring to Counter-Strike, right? That's kind of how far this rabbit hole goes. From what I believe is going to happen, I would say, hey, I don't think any teams are going to be drastically impacted over any others. So,
right,
you know, but yours is a great observation. If something was drastically changed to do with the saving, then outsiders would probably be impacted the most. But yeah, I don't know. can't answer that question. Unfortunately,
I can't think of anyone else. Like, if you could look at top teams, none of them are reliant on a certain gimmick or whatever, right?
Everyone does a bit of everything, don't they?
Yeah, and if everyone gets fucked equally, and they just have to adapt to it. And whoever adapts faster gets better early on. I don't really think any other team are from outsiders. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, there's like some thought about opping and like particular styles of opping that could be adjusted to some level, right? But still.
But what's going to change?
Let's say opping was a bit more combat, right? Like, and like most of the meta oppers at the moment are very passive and just generally very positional, you know. And like, let's say combat opping gets improved in some way. Maybe quick scoping is easy, whatever it is, you know. I don't know what exactly. But like more aggressive opping would be more incentivized.
2014 op back again.
Yeah, maybe some people like who'd like to take risks more would be better, you know. But I don't know.
Where was the bar set at the expectations here? I'm assuming you guys discussed everything, but where was the expectation from the room? Is it
fairly low in terms of like how much impact it will have on game changes?
Okay, so you think it's going to be similar to how it is?
I think it's going to improve the overall, like when it comes to the casual scene, like streamline things for people to like, 128 tick servers, a matchmaking leaderboard, etc., etc.
I read the report. There's no tick servers, Bleh. No ticks.
We were talking about
that as well, which and they supposedly are going to decouple the nade lineups from 64 tick and 128 tick. So it doesn't matter what the lineup is, it's going to work regardless of the tick, which is fucking great.
That's a nice quality of life change.
If it's true, right? Yeah. So it's not really I don't think it's gonna massively impact the high level scene, but it's gonna be good overall.
The way that I've always looked at this, even when we've discussed these rumors in the past on the show, is that it just feels like if it was me and the game is as popular as what it is right now, I would want to try and make the game as close to how it is right now. And then while giving myself a toolbox that will allow me to change and make things better going forward. Yep. It's like everything is great right now. Counter-Strike is fucking awesome right now with the way the game is. Like, I don't think Counter-Strike, over all the different versions that I've ever played, has played as well as this current version of Counter-Strike. And I'm sure people who are mega hard, like, in the weeds go, oh, this could be better. Stuff can always be better, right? Like, that's not really the conversation here. But the way that this current Counter-Strike plays is the best. And I think if you speak to a lot of pros, you'd probably get a similar kind of response, especially ones who have been playing through different iterations of Counter-Strike, not just CSGO. So yeah, that's where my benchmark would be at, getting the game to where it is right now, or at least as close as possible, because there's things that are going to be different, right? I don't know anything about coding, so I couldn't even pretend to get started on what a tickless servo is meant to do. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It feels like it's coming. It definitely feels like it's coming.
There's a lot.
I feel it's going to be a good thing.
Yeah, well, this is the life cycle as well. Like, I experienced going from 1.6 to source, which was like a weird murky blurriness. I don't think this is going to be like that.
Yeah.
When CSGO first came out, it wasn't hugely well received in the beginning, and most of the changes traditionally aren't, because people always push back on change. Just like when we've had updates in the current version of the game, dropping of nades.
There were a lot of bugs like early on that did kind of make the game a little bit hard to like.
Oh, the whole system was fucking. It was stupid in the beginning. The system, like even the way the guns worked, when the PP Bison was the best weapon in the game, it's like it just
Yeah. I mean, that was like super mega early. That, to be fair, I mean more like when the esports scene got a bit more started.
But we know where we're at now, right? Like, we have our benchmark. This is what I'm saying. Like, you would have a hard time getting past the fact that you would assume that Valve would want to make the game the same as it is now. Like, yeah. I would have a hard time hearing any other arguments. Oh, it's going to be brand new. It's like, why?
No need.
Yeah.
No, like it's literally peaking every week. Like these past couple of months, like there's not going to be massive changes. Like, it's not like the game is dying and we need like a new version to revive it. Like we did with 1.6 and Source. We just need to keep building on what we've been doing so far. Like keep building the game as it is. So I agree with that 100%.
I would, however, like them to keep the community browser.
For the servers?
The servers upgraded. I really enjoyed that. I know, a little old school and whatnot, but I feel like that is something I really hope they don't get rid of. Or maybe upgrade it a little bit, make it better. But if they remove that would be, that would hurt me.
Like make modding more
bring it back to its roots,
for modding
man.
And things like that. Like I really did like that, even dating back to 1.6. It's always been like a very community thing to just like go on a server that you like, even in like those stupid systems like superhero and whatever, like just like specific zombie mode and whatever like this, like all these things that were like very community made. I do think that that's a good thing to retain.
And it's not taken away from CS as a whole, right? Even the past 10 years in CSGO, even though, sure, you know, they added like arms race, which is basically gun game revamped and all these things. And like they have added Wingman, they've added like retake servers and everything. And it still exists in the community servers and it's never taken away anything from Valve. I think we can very happily coexist. And CS has been great because of the modding community. I mean, for fuck's sake, it started out as a mod. So just, you know, let's retain that at the very least.
All right, we got any other questions there, Mr. Prof?
There's one question. I just wanted to give a shout out to Odie in chat, the Dignitas X guy, owner, creator, whatever it was. Just a name I didn't see in some time. So cool. He said, not another CSS. Thank you, Spot.
GM of Birmingham Salvo.
Yeah, they're from your CGS days.
Yeah, we're gonna, Henry and I, one of these days when we have a segment to fill, we're going to put some CGS footage on the stream and show everybody what CGS used to look like, and show everybody what we used to look like back when we were 18 and 19 years young. So that should be coming to a television screen to everybody pretty soon.
The other question that we had, there was a question for Bleh. It just asked him about any Indian players or teams that piqued his interest.
Not in the past 3 years.
Forsaken.
Yeah. All right, man. Listen, that thing's dead. I'll give a shout out to Boogeyman. He's a guy who used to play in a lot of teams in India. Likes to be a lot of quite a pugger, and then he moved to Australia to study. And I remember getting a DM from, I think it was from Moe or one of the guys.
Moe CQ, maybe.
I think it was Moe CQ. And it's like, is this guy good? I'm like, he was pretty solid. So they added him to the Australian FPL. And I think he, played in a couple of teams as well. So, he kept the flag flying, playing internationally. Although I don't think he really went, they played in a pro team or whatever. Apart from that, it's pretty much dead here. It sucks. I'm sad. But maybe with Source 2, you never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
Well, that's the thing. If we get even more players, I don't even know where we're going to put them. But it would be nice.
Pretty nice.
Bring everyone to the Counter-Strike dark side. All right, gentlemen.
I wanted to just give a short message.
Okay.
To all our viewers and fans. Some people were really upset 2 weeks ago. We made the switch to like VOD only Twitch, sub only VODs on Twitch. And honestly, when we did this, I thought it was just like people just go and watch on YouTube. It's gonna be like a short delay, but like YouTube is a better platform for watching VODs. It's just like objectively true. And it just works better for us, like stat wise, because a lot of stats get lost because it's like a weird way Twitch like count these VOD stats. Or like it'd just be nicer for us, for everyone to go there. And then if some people really want to watch the Twitch VOD, they're just gonna sub. And it was like actually a lot of people apparently want the Twitch VOD. So we got a lot of subs. So cool. That's really nice. Shout out to those guys for supporting.
That's a win-win right there.
In a way we didn't really expect. And then also a lot of people realized we actually have podcast versions because people want to watch like without their screens on, which you can't do on YouTube unless you're like Prime or whatever. But we also have a podcast version for that. I don't think we really took away much. I think we offer still a lot for free. And then if people want to support, that's really nice. And thank you.
I think you should all, if you all subscribe to the show, I can ask for more money. So we could come up with a nice little fun relationship here, guys. You guys pay for the VODs and essentially it can pay me more. So I hope everybody at home is listening.
There we go.
Like and subscribe, everybody.
Where all the
if
subs.
You think HLTV is we're going to make more money, that's not true. It's all just going to go to SPUNJ.
Yeah. I'm going to siphon it all into my bank account. It's going to be a whole FTX situation.
Wait, you guys get money?
You
guys get paid?
You get fed and walked outside twice a day. Martin is very kind to you, Lucas.
No, I don't get any walks anymore.
No walkies?
That's a shame. Lucky Lucas. All right. Well, gentlemen, I think even though I rocked up late, we're done already.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot popping off right now. It's pretty boring out there, isn't it?
I mean, except this one thing, but...
Yeah, well, we could sit here and speculate for hours, couldn't we? I might just go fly to Seattle. Might get on an airplane. Might just go wait out in front of their office.
How do we know you're not in Seattle right now?
Good question.
It's probably ended a couple of days ago. You've had a day to fly down to Seattle.
That's why do you think I was late? I just landed, obviously.
Yeah, where did you ask the the housekeeper for the vacuum just to like pretend you're at home or something?
Yeah. I have to be on broadcast in fucking, I don't know, not long time at all. Tomorrow in, I don't know, what is it, 15, 16 hours? 16 hours. 16 hours. All right, let's get out of here. Everybody, don't sleep tonight. I have it on really good authority that something exciting is happening. I could just make people stay awake all night, couldn't I? I could just, people would just.
I mean, it's almost morning for me, Chad. I'm not going to go to sleep anyway.
I don't know what's happening. I wish I did, but let's say goodnight and let's see you all. Don't sleep, copium. All right, guys. Peace. Good night. Thank you for watching HLTV Confirmed. Thanks again to the sponsors, BitSkins, SteelSeries, M1Bet, and for Prof for bringing in the first portion of the show. We'll see you next week, and we'll see what's popping off then for Group D of Pro League. Goodbye.
Finally, I found what I was looking for. Now that my search is over, it's gonna be a tough choice. But fortunately, no need to choose. When you can just have them all. Buy and sell skins on BitSkins.com.
Your bet, your game.
It's a good vibe, it's a good vibe, it's a good vibe, good vibe.